mics are on.
Okay. Call to order. I hereby announce pursuant to Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act that adequate notice of this meeting has been transmitted on September 4th, 2025 by the Board Administrative Officer to the Asbury Park Press, the Two River Times, the Township Clerk, and has been posted in the meetings room and in the entrance hall in Town Hall, all pursuant to Section 13 of the Open Public Meetings Act. Roll call.
Mr. Ackerson is absent. Mr. Romano is absent. Mr. Fagan.
Here.
Mr. Mon.
Here.
Mr. Emma.
Here.
Mr. King is absent. Ms. Plausas.
Here.
Mr. Silberman.
Here.
Mr. Dorse is absent. Mr. Bell is absent. Thank you.
Let's please rise and for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And just remain standing for a moment of silence for the military, police, and first responders. Thank you. Okay, today we have just one item on the agenda. PB number 2025G, 23 Main Street, Urban Renewal LLC, the applicant, has applied to the board for the property located at 23 Main Street, Homedale, New Jersey, Block 13, Lot 15, which is the former Vonage headquarters, and which is owned by 23 Main Street Propco LLC, an affiliate of the applicant, for preliminary and final major subdivision, preliminary major site plan, and final major site plan for Phase 1, known as Azura at Homedale. Okay, at this time, I guess we'll turn the floor over to you, Counselor.
Good evening, board members, professionals, members of the public. My name is Carl Kemp from law firm Finnegan, Scott & Bauman, representing the
So you
applicant.
can-
Carl,
sworn?
you're gonna have to use, you can even use the handheld, but you gotta speak a
That's
little
fine.
louder.
I'm used to standing up in front of boards.
No,
and
you can
sitting down.
stand, but you gotta be real close to
So
that
you
mic.
can hear it. So I'll just repeat it so it's clear for the recording. Good evening, Carl Kem from the law firm McMiniman, Scotland & Bauman, on behalf of the applicant, which is 23 Main Street Urban Renewal LLC. First, I'd like to thank the board for scheduling a special meeting tonight. We greatly appreciate that. The applicant has provided notice in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act and the township requirements, vesting the board with jurisdiction to hear this application tonight. Brief background before we start with the application. As everyone knows, that this is the former Vonage headquarters, and old enough to remember is the Prudential headquarters. The applicant's proposing for the site a coordinated integrated community, as the chairman noted, known as Azura at Homedale. It will be built in 4 phases. We will be coming in for final site plan for each phase. As the chairman indicated, we're only here for final site plan for Phase 1. The entire project, once fully constructed, will consist of 209 age-restricted residential units. There will also be 90 assisted living units with skilled nursing beds. As we are all subject to CO and is mandated by CO, we are providing the required 42 affordable housing units dispersed throughout phases 1, 2, and 4 of the project. Phase 1 will contain 104 units. Phase 2 will have 65 units. Phase 3 will have the assisted living facility, and Phase 4 will have 4 units. As part of this process, as we all know, this is a redevelopment area that was designated by the council. The Township Council adopted the Vonage Headquarters redevelopment plan, which is the zoning for the property. We comply with that. During the course of the redevelopment process, a subcommittee of the township was created, and the applicant worked in conjunction with the subcommittee and the township professionals. We incorporated suggestions into the final design, which will be presented to you tonight, and all uses comply with the redevelopment plan. The township, as required by the redevelopment plan prior to appearing tonight, has found that the project for the entire site, as well as Phase 1, is consistent with the redevelopment plan and also the redevelopment agreement that the applicant entered into with the Township Council. As indicated, we have 3 applications tonight, which sounds like a lot, but when you break them down, it's really straightforward. The first application is a major subdivision. Because of the ordinance, it qualifies as a major. Major subdivision, quite simply, will subdivide 5 acres of the corner of the property, valued at about over $1 million. That will be dedicated free of charge to the township. The remainder of the property will then be subject to the site plan applications in the 4 phases I indicated. Again, first thing we have is a preliminary major site plan for the entire property, which we've referred to as the site-wide site plan. In part, that's to conform with the requirements of the redevelopment agreement, which requires us to show a full, at least conceptual development at this point in time, which we will present to you this evening. Then we will have the more detailed, our final major site plan for phase 1. As indicated, that has the 104 senior living for sale units. It will be the redevelopment and repurposing of the existing office building. That will also include other amenities throughout the site, as well as the upgrade and the modernization of the existing wastewater treatment plant to ensure compliance with current regulations. As part of that project as well, there will be a 7,000 square foot portion of the existing building that will be converted into a community room that will be made available to the township at no rent to the township. That's valued at about $1.7 million for that build out. We have received reports. We received the interdepartmental review reports from the township staff. We've reviewed your planner's report of September 23. Your board engineer's report is September 26. The board traffic engineering consultant's report is September 25. And the report from the township engineer reviewing the wastewater treatment plant dated September 30th. We'll go through those in the testimony largely of the site engineer, but in large part, we have no issue with any of those reports. We will comply with them to the satisfaction of the authors of those reports, with 1 or 2 clarifications that our engineer will get into. Additionally, we have already submitted to the Monmouth County Planning Board, the Freehold Soil Conservation District, as well as NJDEP. We haven't received reviews yet, but we will certainly share those with the board and the board professionals. The attorney has talked too much. So we will have this evening for you the following witnesses, and we'll get right to them. Our site engineer, Mark Zelina of WH Engineering. Our architect, goes by Arthur Michaels of Michaels and Waldron LLC. Our traffic engineer, John Ray of McDonough and Ray. And our engineer who is in charge of the design and the permitting of the wastewater treatment plant, which is Jordan Volk of Collier's Engineering and Design. We also have other members of our project and design team here to answer any question that those professionals cannot. If there's no other preliminary matters, we'll proceed with our first witness, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
So we'll do, Carl, just to put on the record, all the notices and escrows and everything are in order.
That's correct, thank you.
Okay, and just confirm there's no conflict with any board members, with the applicant, or vice versa, the applicant with board members.
We're not
Yeah.
aware of any, Mr. Flue.
Seeing none, and last, we're going to swear in our professionals as well as, I guess, just Mr. Zelina now, just in case, I'm not sure how far you're going to get. So we'll just.
We can do it as any way you'd like, Mr.
Okay,
Flue.
so we'll just swear in your engineer and our professionals. Does anyone swear or affirm to tell the truth, nothing but the truth with regard to this application? For the record, our professionals and Mr. Zelina have been sworn, and if you can spell your name for the record and give us your credentials, it'd be great.
Just have to push the button. Forward.
Okay, my name is Mark Zelina. The last, it's with a Mark with a K and Zelina. Thank you. Is it okay? Is that good? Okay, I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey. I'm also a licensed planner and a certified municipal engineer, but I'm testifying here before you this evening as a licensed professional engineer. I have a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from Lafayette College back in 1981, so I've been at this for in excess of 40 years. I've appeared before numerous boards across the state of New Jersey, particularly here in Monmouth County, and also before the Homedale Planning and Zoning Boards numerous times over the course of my career. And I'm in charge of this project. Everything's been prepared under my supervision, so I'm well versed in explaining everything we need to talk about this evening.
We accept your credentials.
Thank
You
you.
can proceed.
Just wanted to make sure. Okay, the first exhibit we have this evening up on the screen It's entitled the Site-Wide Preliminary Site Plan and Phase 1 Phase 1 Site Plan, Azura at Homedale, Existing Conditions Plan. Block 13, Lot 15, Township of Homedale, Monmouth County.
And we'll mark that as Exhibit A1 with tonight's date,
That's fine.
and we'll continue in that fashion throughout the evening. Thank you.
Great.
Please continue, Mark.
Okay. Won't take up too much time, because I'm sure everyone's familiar with the property. But just for the record, the property's 88.87 acres in size. It's situated at the corner of Homedale Road, which is County Route 4, and Main Street, which is County Route 520. If you look at the screen, the bottom right-hand corner is cut out. That's part of the Homedale Village, some of the commercial properties in close proximity to the site. Not a part of the site, but it's the Verizon offices, the Advisor Mortgage, the deli, the fire department, former fire department, and some other office buildings. The west side of the site's bordered by the Willowbrook, the east branch of the Willowbrook. It's a Category 1 stream. We've applied to the DEP for a letter of interpretation for the wetlands along the stream. Our environmental consultant was there. The wetlands are limited to the actual stream channel. It doesn't affect the site or any of the layout on the site. Based on his recommendation, we've applied a 50-foot buffer to the wetlands. Also associated with the stream, Homedale has a requirement for the stream corridor buffer. There's a 100-foot buffer required for that. We've shown that. There's a white line along there that shows the 100-foot stream corridor buffer. Doesn't affect anything on the project. It's existing. None of these buffers will be disturbed by anything proposed by this project. And then finally, there's a 300-foot riparian buffer to the stream, measured from the top of the banks of the stream. It extends into the site a little bit, and as we'll talk about later, it extends a little bit beyond the lagoon for the wastewater treatment plant, as well as the existing sport courts there, the basketball and tennis courts. Those will remain. There will be no alterations to anything proposed within that buffer, and thus we're not required to go to the DEP for any additional permits. The only permit we've applied for to the DEP to this date is just the letter of interpretation to identify the wetlands and its associated buffer. The improvements on the site consist of obviously the main building. It's just a two-story building. It's about 170,000 square feet in plan area, about 350,000 square feet in total floor area at the center of the site. The site's accessed with two driveways, one off of Main Street, one off of Homedale Road. There's the infamous loop road that runs around the building and encircles the building and all its associated parking. Right now, there's 1,477 parking spaces associated with that parking lot right now. Over 16 acres of pavement, what we call the driveways and parking lots, which is the motor vehicle surfaces that you'll see as we go into through the applications, where we're going to be able to reduce the amount of pavement and the amount of impervious coverage on the site by virtue of the improvements. Then other existing improvements that are on the site, there's an electric substation, a maintenance building, cooling tower, the sports courts, as I mentioned, a helipad, and the wastewater treatment facility and the lagoon associated with it. So that, in a nutshell, is the site as it exists today. We're going to move on to the first application, which is the preliminary and final major subdivision. With that, we'll go right to Exhibit 2. It's Exhibit 2, Azura at Homedale, preliminary and final major subdivision plan, Block 13, Lot 15, Township of Homedale, Monmouth County, New Jersey. So this application is simply to subdivide the property into two lots in order that we may create the 5-acre parcel that will be dedicated to the township for public purposes. Simply a subdivision of land. There are absolutely no improvements proposed by this application. It's just creating a new lot line so that we can create the 5-acre lot, subdivide it off, and the remaining land, the remaining 83.85 acres will be the subject of the remaining applications here this evening. The lot itself, has frontage on Main Street, approximately almost 700 feet of frontage on Main Street, and it lies between the Loop Road and Main Street itself. Nothing else to talk about on that, because we're not proposing any improvements. It's simply the subdivision of land, creating a 5-acre lot and an 83.85-acre lot for the proposed development. Okay. All right, we're rolling. Now we'd like to move into the, we'll talk about the general site plan, the site plan for the, all, we reference phases 1 through 4. We have another exhibit. We have several exhibits here which are going to detail how each phase lays out. The first exhibit is the Azura at Homedale site-wide preliminary site plan and phase 1 final site plan. Again, Azura at Homedale, it's just phase 1.
Would this be A3?
This will be A3.
I think so. Thank you.
So what the exhibit shows is a portion of the site that includes all of phase 1. It's the colored portion of the site in the light green and the orange and the gray around it. To the left of the site, you'll see that the existing parking lot, which is going to remain. So phase 1 is basically the rehabilitation of the existing building. It's going to will consist ultimately of 104 senior living for sale units, and then there'll be 21 affordable units. And those are required by the Council of Affordable Housing to provide the affordable housing obligation, part of what every municipality in the state has to comply with. Part of the site, you'll see right off the bat, we're reconfiguring the entrance off of Homedale Road. We created a driveway that aligns, with the existing entrance driveway. So as you drive up, it's a nice driveway. It's kind of set up with a divided driveway and an alley of trees you drive through to get to a circle at the main entrance. So that's for visitors, anyone visiting the site. We've included 37 parking spaces along with that. So that's part of the new revised front entrance. The other existing driveway that was on either side of the entrance will be removed and landscaped. Again, we're going to go a little bit light on the description at this point because we're going to get into much more detail on phase 1 as we go for the final part of it. But we're also realigning the driveway from Homedale Road. Up north, we've kind of, as you come in off of Homedale Road, you see the divided driveway coming into the site. That used to be a dead end at the loop road. We've now extended that so that comes right into the site and provides good access into the parking lots that we provide there. With the parking lots, we have 242 spaces. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong phase here. I apologize. We have 319 spaces proposed for phase 1. It is exactly the number required by the residential site improvement standards, the ordinance, and the redevelopment plan. So, but with that, we're providing for 20 ADA spots and 48 EV spaces. You'll note we've scattered them all through the site. They're not congregated in any one spot, and we exceed the minimum number of spaces we need for the ADA spaces because of the population of this development. We're very generous in terms of providing the number of ADA spaces required. And then the EV spots, the electric vehicle spots, the actual requirement by the state are required for 15% of the proposed spots, which we're providing, again, dispersed throughout the site. And a part of those also had, a component of that also have an ADA space that just for the EV configuration. You'll see at the eastern part of the site there's 2 tennis and 6 paddleball courts proposed. Those will be available to the residents as well as the public. Also, one of the things that's in part of the redevelopment plan was a 6-foot wide sidewalk around the loop. It's on the inside part of the loop road around the site, or around the project. It's that and a 6-foot wide bike lane on the road itself to make up like a 6-foot wide pedestrian and bike trail to just about a mile. It's about 9/10 of a mile around that loop itself. So and there's a lot of interconnecting trails and walks to that loop road, but as part of the phase 1 improvements, that's included in it. You also see a series of trees that are planted around the loop road, around all the roads actually, but it's particularly evident along the loop road itself. Another big part of the phase one is the modernization of the existing wastewater treatment plant. One of our other experts will speak to that later, but that will be upgraded to make sure it meets all the current standards for the operation and provide for sanitary sewer service for the entire site itself. But that will have to take place in phase one. So that's the highlights on phase one. As we talked about, we'll go into greater detail for the final for the final application, final site plan application. But that's an overview of phase one. Now phase two. Oh wait, before we turn the exhibit, like I said, this is what the site would look like with the construction of phase one only. I know oftentimes in phase projects there's always concern. Well, what happens if phase 2 or 3 never get built? I don't think we have any concerns about that on this site, but I thought in my presentation this evening I thought it was a good way to walk through the site and show, well, this is phase 1. It all fits within the loop road, and there's a portion of that area within the loop road that will not be disturbed, and that's part of the existing parking lots that won't be disturbed during phase 1, but and the driveways going out to loop road will be gated and access will be precluded. We'll roll into phase 2 now. So the next exhibit turn to it myself here so I get the title. Site-wide preliminary site plan and phase 1 final site plan for Azura at Homedale, phases 1 and 2, block 13, lot 15. Now this is lot 15.
This will be marked as Exhibit A4.
Right, and we're referring to this at this point as lot 15.01. The big lot itself was 15, and then with the subdivision, we proposed the larger lot to be 15.01, and the 5-acre lot to be dedicated to Homedale as lot 1502. So just for clarification, why there's a change if someone picks up on it. So phase 2 consists of 65 townhomes. It's to the west side of the existing building. You'll see a lot of small rectangles with interior roads on the exhibit you're seeing. All this construction will be within the ring road or loop road. There's no construction proposed outside of the loop road for this. So we have, there's 65 townhomes with it, and then of course, just like the other part of it, we have 20% or 13 of the units will be affordable units, again, to comply with the COA regulations. So along with the townhomes, we get the associated roadways, sidewalks, guest parking areas, driveways interconnecting between the loop roads as well as connecting to the parking lots interior to the site with the main building construction. There's 242 parking spaces associated with this phase. It's more than what is required. There are only 178 spaces required by the various codes, whether it's the residential site improvement standards and whatnot. But in a layout like this, there's 2-car garages and a double wide driveway. So each unit provides for 3.5 parking spaces. So that's an excessive amount or it helps a lot in terms of achieving the required parking amount. And then in addition to that, we provide 1/2 a space per unit for visitor parking. So all that's incorporated into this plan, as well as the AD spaces. What's not shown on this phase are the EV spaces. With the residential construction like this, we're not certain that it's required because each unit has the ability to provide for its own EV charger, and thus none provided for the public. Again, when we get to it when we get to final on this, we'll have detailed plans for the grading and drainage, as well as all the landscaping. We had shown some preliminary landscaping on this, but as you know, the type of development that it is, it'll be very well landscaped in the future. And I'm remiss in that I didn't address the storm sewer or the sanitary sewer on either phase as of yet. There's an existing pump station on the west side of the existing office building that will remain and will serve the entire development. All the new construction, including phases 1 and phase 2, will have new sanitary sewers that connect to the pump station, and the pump station will continue to operate as it does now, pumping through a 4-inch diameter force main to the wastewater treatment plant. So, just in much the manner it is now, we just have to relocate the 4-inch force main a little bit to accommodate the layout of the townhomes. So we're remiss in saying that. The stormwater, in the same fashion, we're going to utilize the existing, there's a very intricate stormwater system throughout this parking lot. It was very hard to map out all the different inlets and all the different pipes and side that go in all different directions through this parking lot. The idea is to utilize as much of that as we can, but we'll ultimately have to provide a lot of new storm sewer, catch basins, inlets, and piping. But ultimately, we're going to tie into the existing system, which discharges to the brook on the west side of the parking, or west side of the property. What's good about the development, you can see already how much greener this plan looks like. So we're ultimately reducing the amount of impervious coverage on the site, which helps reduce the stormwater. And then we're actually going to reduce the amount of the automobile pavement by as much as almost 7 acres. So now we're talking about just an automatic water quality benefit because we won't have as much asphalt pavement serving automobiles in the end by the development of this project. So that's an overview of phase 2. We'll move on to phase 3, and believe it or not, the next rendering says site-wide. I'm sorry, I have to have a little fun with this at times. Site-wide preliminary site plan and phase 1 final site plan. Azura at Holmdel, phases 1, 2, 3. Block 13, lot 15.01, Township of Holmdel, Monmouth County, New Jersey.
And this will be marked as Exhibit A-5. Thank you, Mark.
So phase 3 is a little different than the first 2 phases in that it's not within the loop road. It's at the extreme north end of the site. And as you can see, we zoomed in on it a little bit there. What this is a 3-story assisted living, memory care, skilled nursing facility with 90 units. 6 of the units, which is 10% of the assisted living and memory care unit, will be dedicated to will be affordable units, again, in keeping with the COA rules and regulations. As I said, the location of it, we're providing 50 parking spaces with that. 45 are required. 8 of those will be ADA spaces, and 8 will be EV spaces. It's connected to, it's actually an extension of the existing driveway that comes out to Holmdel Road. And, you know, that's just one point I wanted to make is that all of our existing driveways that connect to either Holmdel Road or Main Street will remain. There's no alterations to the existing driveways at the perimeter of the sites. Both of those roads are county roads. We've made application to Monmouth County, and we will work with them on any improvements if they're required or not. But we're proposing no improvements to the existing driveways at the perimeter of the site, so no effects to any of the outside roads. Everything's inside. And this particular one is just an extension of the existing driveway. If you're familiar with the site now, there's an existing softball or baseball field at that location now, which will not remain, but instead will be the development as shown. We have the parking spaces, then along the back a service driveway, which will provide loading to the building, and then a trash and everything else. All the services required for the building would be taken care of at the back of the building. So that's about all. And again, water and sewer from this, stormwater and sewer will be directed to the site, the sanitary sewer to the pump station, and it'll be carried over to the treatment plant as the remainder of the project site. Let's go to phase 4, if I may. I got it. Same thing. Here we go again. So this exhibit's entitled Site-Wide Preliminary Site Plan and Phase 1 Final Site Plan, Azura at Holmdel, Phases 1 to 4. Block 13, Lot 15.01, Township of Holmdel, Monmouth County, New Jersey.
And this will be marked as Exhibit A-6.
So after you've seen all the other phases, phase 4 is basically looks like an infill lot or something. It's inside the loop road, and it's right between phases 1 and phase 2. It's a 3-story senior living apartment building with 40 rental units. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that 8 of those units, to 20%, will be set aside as affordable units, again, to satisfy the New Jersey state regulations. It's located inside the loop road, as I said. water, actually, I didn't mention water, but sanitary sewer and stormwater will continue to be served by the existing improvements within the site. And since I mentioned the water is the same way. We have New Jersey American Water provides service to the existing building. There are mains that come in off of Holmdel Road and Main Street. Those will continue to provide service to the site. Obviously, we'll have to provide a looping system of mains throughout the site that will provide water through the site, and then we'll provide all the fire hydrants that are required. You saw the letter that came from the fire department with some requirements and the engineer, so we'll take care of the fire hydrants associated with that. But going back to phase 4, and I'm sorry jumping around a little bit, but this project's very interconnected. It's all one big lovely project. So there's 80 parking spaces associated with this. You see there's one parking lot on the left side, and then there's another smaller parking lot at the top of that of the building there. 88 spaces, and then the EV spaces appropriately provided for this as well. So there's not a lot of detail on these phases as of yet. We're only looking for preliminary, and as stipulated or as shown in, or I think one of the reports, and we'll put it on the record as well, that no construction permits can be issued for these phases that do not have final approval. We're in total agreement that nothing will be done as it relates to the construction of these phases 2, 3, and 4 with just the preliminary approval that we're seeking here this evening. As I mentioned earlier, the overall impervious coverage will be reduced, and then the motor vehicle coverage will also be reduced by, I said 8 acres and 7 acres. So that's the overview of all 4 phases, and we'll move into the details of phase 1 at this point. Yeah, we're going back. Okay, for this we're going to go back to the Exhibit A3, which was we talked about briefly with phase 1. Again, the application is for the adaptive reuse of the existing building. We have an architect here today who's going to show you what this building looks like, and you'll be impressed, because right now, as it exists with this very austere-looking 2-story office building, it's going to be a tremendous upgrade. What you see when we're converting this into 104 senior living for-sale condominium units, and then again, all units will be for 55-year-old or older age-restricted units. As I mentioned earlier, 20% of the units, which equates to 21 units, will be set aside as affordable units to meet the state regulations. A small portion of each quadrant of the existing building will be demolished. You'll see that we're creating a bigger interior courtyard and light wells because of the apartment units there, that we're taking away portions of the interior of the building so we can create these wells of light for the building, as well as a really magnificent courtyard for amenities for the residents that live there, which include a bocce ball court, a swimming pool, as well as some fire pits and a re-landscaping of the whole courtyard. As we spoke earlier, phase 1 will include the upgrades to the existing wastewater treatment plant. But going back to the building, Carl mentioned there's a 7,000 square foot portion of the first floor at the southeast corner of the building that will be leased long-term to the Township of Holmdel, at no cost, by the way, for use as a senior citizen multi-purpose flex room. It's located at the corner with close proximity to sidewalks and parking right outside of it, and handicapped units. There are ADA spaces as well for the residents of Holmdel to use that are not, whether they're residents or not. That'll be a public space. Also, there's a portion of the building adjacent to the flex room we're talking about there, where on the first floor we're creating a parking garage there. It's going to be 77 parking spaces on the first floor level there, which be covered and for the residents of the parking. I might want to make one clarification. There was a question about whether all those spaces were double loaded or not. The exterior wall the easternmost wall of that building is being removed. So the spaces on the outside of the building can be accessed from the driveway that runs alongside of that building. So there are some double-loaded spaces, but it's on the order of 20 rather than the more than that. I think it was the reference by the board engineer. But nonetheless, I don't think it was clear in the plans, but for clarification here, that exterior wall will be opened up to that driveway. There are other spaces on the other side, and then a nice berm between that road and the rest of the project, just to kind of hide the parking garage from the rest of the site, or from the road, or the parking lots beyond. While we're on that, we spoke to the fire official, David Olson. There'll be no electric vehicles permitted in the parking garage at this time. He was very adamant about that, and we discussed it. We tried to discuss some alternatives to allow that, but it's not going to happen. So what we'd like to propose is that, you know, we're in agreement with that, but at such time in the future as the electric vehicle technology changes, or other things change, that it becomes permissible or permittable by the fire department, that then the EV parking would be allowed under that space. But at this time, we agree to comply with Mr. Olson's request that there, you know, no EVs, not just the, and for the record too, there's no chargers proposed in the building. All the EV chargers were proposed out on the site. We knew that going in. But the idea, or his request, that do not park any EV electric vehicles, cars in that underneath the building at this time, we're in agreement with, we'll comply with, but we want the ability to alter that or change that if and when the regulations change or technology changes, where that, if the combustibility of the batteries or whatever it is change in the future. So that would be something that's based, you know, between the fire department and the homeowners association at that time, and it doesn't necessarily require a trip back to the planning board for approval to do that, if that's possible.
Well, speaking of Mr. Olson, on his review form, item number 2, I'd like to go over the interdepartmental review form and have what our officials have to say about, 1, provide traffic circulation plan indicating all proposed fire lanes and fire zones. That would be engineering, correct? Because that would be that would be traffic.
Absolutely.
I'd like to address some of these bullet points that they have suggested within the town.
If I may, our proposal was to go through the overview of the projects, you know, the affirmative testimony, and then we'll be happy to discuss all the review letters, whether it's the interdepartmental, the engineer and planner. But we were going to save that for the end of the
Okay,
presentation.
I didn't know how your agenda. Okay, your outline
We'll make sure to
was.
get those
Okay.
questions answered for you.
Yeah, there's a lot there. We're happy to discuss
Yes.
it. So we hit on the EV charging and the EV spaces. So I mentioned earlier, there's a total of 319 spaces. And just zoom out a little bit. You know, we made a lot of effort to make sure that the parking spaces are dispersed around the site, so that from any direction, there's multiple driveways that come in off the loop road, and it's a very accessible site. We broke up the paved areas with some nice islands. We increased the size of the islands from what was there previously, so there's a little greening of the parking lots. They don't just look like this austere pavement, so there's a lot of planted islands that are going into the new parking lots, and including that front parking lot and driveway at the front, we you know, kind of created a lot of green space there. It's not your typical parking lot. We take a lot of pride in that. I think this is going to be a spectacular project when it's all completed. And again, with the parking, the 20 ADA spaces, 48 EV spaces distributed throughout the parking areas. Again, those are situated on all the different parking areas that we see there. There's the one at the south end, there's one at the northwest corner of the building, and then on the right side, on the northeast side, where the basketball courts or the other sport courts are, and where you come in off of the Holmdel Road driveway section. All parking spaces provided are intended to be 9 feet by 18 feet long. If by chance we missed one on a plan, we'll be sure to correct that, but that is, you know, in full conformance with the redevelopment plan. They will all be appropriately sized. We mentioned earlier about the 6-foot wide walking path around the inner perimeter of the ring road, and then with that, a 6-foot wide striped bicycle lane on the existing driveway. Again, those two components are available for public use. It'll be a lovely walking trail for the public as well as the bike lane for both the residents as well as the public.
So the bike lane is going to be on the existing loop
Yes.
road, and the walking path will be constructed,
A new sidewalk.
new sidewalk.
Inside the curb.
loop.
Yes. Then associated with all the those exterior improvements, we have some benches and then bicycle racks. That was part of the redevelopment plan too, and you know, part of the site here. They'll be spaced up by the courts as well as the entrances to the building. Just to the northwest, or maybe actually to the north of the building, we propose a dumpster enclosure. It's 25 feet wide by 25 feet in depth. That's big enough that we can handle both the recyclables as well as the trash. And that will be for both the Phase 1 building as well as the Phase 4 apartment building. The townhomes will have the individual pickup, and then for the Phase 3 building at the very north of the site will have its own trash component when we get to it. But right now, that dumpster area, we'll just zoom out a little bit there. The Phase 4 building's not shown, but it will have access where the trash can be carried from the building to the dumpster, as will the trash from the Phase 1 building. We're not asking the residents to carry it there. That'll be handled inside with trash rooms and the like. And then one of the employees, it'll be carted out to the dumpster by employees of the facility. All the lighting associated with the site, there's new lighting proposed in the parking lots. They're 24-foot high fixtures, and then there's 30-foot high fixtures proposed for the new sport courts at the east side of the site. All the lighting we agree to conform to all the standards right now. One of the comments had to do with the lighting levels along all the pedestrian routes. I can't sit here and say to you now that this plan meets it, but we will go back and make sure that we address it in a manner that can be approved by your professionals. The existing lights around the ring road will remain. We're not proposing to alter them. They've been there and served that ring road for a long time. We'll have to work with the planner and engineer as to the lighting levels that exist from there. But we're here to conform with everything. You know, we're not asking for any variances from the redevelopment plan here. This is a total complying plan, and anything that maybe is missed or is just not shown on the plans as they exist, we're here to say that they will be, because we're here for a 100% compliant project. One thing that I was remiss in talking about, along the main roads, along Homedale Road and Main Street, there's a requirement for a 200-foot wide buffer. That is proposed along the south side, along Main Street. That it's pretty wooded. The only thing that goes through there now, there's an existing pedestrian path that goes through that buffer from the ring road to Main Street. That will remain as part of the project, and that'll provide pedestrian access to those couple of businesses there on that side of the project. On the east side of the property, along Homedale Road, there's the 200-foot buffer exists. And if you were to look at it today, there are trees that line Homedale Road, but the rest of it's rather open. As part of this proposal, we propose to landscape that buffer. There's a series of planted islands for a little bit of interest, rather than just, you know, and your design manual requires it. But I just think we did a great. Our landscape architects did a great job with providing these a lot of different shaped landscaped islands. I think the planner pointed out that there was over 500 trees and shrubs that will be planted in that landscape buffer in conformance with the redevelopment plan. So I wanted to make sure we pointed that out. I missed that when we talked about the overall plan. Trees too, there's shade trees required every 40 feet around the roadways within the development. You see they're pretty prominent along the ring road there, but they will along the entrance drives and other roads will comply with that as well. They're not, I don't know if they're shown in detail beyond Phase 1, but they definitely will be included in the plan. The facade of the existing building, I just alluded to it briefly. It's going to be totally upgraded to create a very tasteful appearance for the residents and the public. And I don't show that yet. Don't show it. Our architect will be here to speak to that in a little bit. Between the Ring Road and Homedale Road, there's a green area that we're going to that'll be set aside. There will be 7.3 acres of open space. Part of it lies within the 200-foot buffer, but between the southern property line and between the northern driveway, between the Ring Road and Homedale Road, there'll be a dedicated open space of just over 7 acres, 7.3 acres. That'll occur during phase 1 as well, so that dedication will be made, and then the planting associated with it will take place during phase 1. You know, I went over it more with the general plan, the overall plan as far as the land, you know, the utilities. We have a storm sewer system designed to connect to the existing storm sewer system. It'll basically be tied to the existing system that runs through the parking lots on the west side of the property for now, and then those will be upgraded as we continue to develop the property. The sanitary sewers comes from the building now to the pump station. That will continue to happen. We will have to improve some of the water mains to the site, and we've already talked to New Jersey American Water about that. So, you know, overall, that's the extent of the improvements for phase 1. You know, this development includes the adaptive reuse of the existing headquarters building and incorporates it into a new senior living development with multiple housing types and provisions for continuing care for the aging residents. You're also providing land for the development of the emergency services facility or whatever use the Township of Homedale deems appropriate for the 5-acre lot that we're dedicating to the south there. So, in summary, I mean, that's kind of the overview of what the project's all about. And at this time, we'd be happy to start to get into the review letters with no particular order, but we can start with the interdepartmental letters if it's okay with the board.
Sure.
Okay. So, as was brought up, okay, first we'll address the fire official, Mr. Olson. He talked about the plans he reviewed. We did prepare a circulation plan for the project. At the time we prepared it, we weren't aware of what the township's largest fire apparatus is, and we're going to the next exhibit.
This is new.
Yeah, this is new.
So this will mark as Exhibit A-7. Circulation.
All right, so it's entitled a Site-Wide Preliminary Site Plan and Phase 1 Final Site Plan, Azura at Homedale, Block 13, Lot 15.01, Tax Map Sheet number, look at that, 114, that's something new. 104, I apologize. Township of Homedale, Monmouth County, New Jersey. Homedale Fire Truck Circulation Exhibit. So we prepared this while we were preparing the plans with the assumption of a certain fire truck radius, or certain fire truck wheelbase. And since then, I believe just yesterday, we received the actual specifications on what the largest fire truck is in the Township of Homedale. And it's 30 inches longer than what we had shown here. So if you look at this exhibit around the Ring Road and through the main entrances, we show that the fire truck has good access through into the site around that loop road, loop driveway at the entrance, back out to the Ring Road, comes around the Ring Road through the Phase 2 townhouse development there. It can traverse those driveways and back out the other side. And then back around to the north, through the driveways, back towards the main building, across the front of the building, around the side of the building, and back out to the Ring Road. So this plan, as is prepared, was for a fire truck that was 30 inches shorter than what actually the specs that Mr. Olson provided us. We will definitely revise it with the little larger fire truck, and we have great confidence that it will be fine. We anticipated, knowing how we deal with this type of development. So all the curb radii are larger than what you would ordinarily see. And if there, by chance there's any conflict with any curbs with the larger truck, we'll make sure we revise those, and we'll have those available to Mr. Olson and the professionals to approve. We'll talk about I'm not prepared to talk about the interconnections with the building. The architect will, our project architect will. Fire hydrant locations, we're happy to provide all the fire hydrants at the locations that Mr. Olson requests. Then his last comment we discussed earlier, provide documentation ensuring that electric vehicles will only be parked in designated electrical vehicle parking stalls and will not be parked in the parking garage. Now, we can't limit where the electric vehicles park on our site. I mean, granted, we have the charging stations, but wherever else they want it, we're not limiting it to any specified spaces on the site, with the exception of in the parking garage itself. We will provide the appropriate signage to make sure to show that the EV parking vehicles or electric vehicles are not permitted in that parking garage. We'll review that with Mr. Olson. I can't. I don't know. We're in full compliance with that. I had the discussion with him about the whys and how he, we could not create a fire-rated building or sprinkler system building that would satisfy the Township of Hollandale Fire Department as it relates to electric vehicles. So we concur with his, or we will agree to his requirement as to prohibit them from parking within the parking garage. No issues.
Yeah, but how are you going to prohibit that?
Well, that's going to be the difficult part of this. It's going to be, have to be with signage. Will have to be within the documents, or all the homeowners will have to be alerted to it. And then it's a function of the association policing it, however they can. Would be open to comments. Let's put it that way. But we're in 100% agreement, and we can talk to Mr. Olson about that, or anyone else that has any recommendations as how we can best make that happen.
And to the extent it's a signage issue, we'll certainly have the signage reviewed and approved by Mr. Olson as well as your board professionals, so any input they may have on that issue will hopefully incorporate with the signage.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to skip over the, those will be handled by Art. What's that? Okay, for the first aid chief, for the Christopher Trichetta.
No, they said they're going to do all that.
I'm going to pass on those and hand those comments over to our project architect. Those are mostly building-related comments, so he can certainly handle those, which I don't have the knowledge to understand or to respond to. But we'll jump down to the traffic safety officer. The very first one, add a pedestrian path.
Wait. I want to go back to first aid.
Sure.
My concern is your elevators, that they
We'll
get
be
straight.
prepared. The next witness or the architect will be prepared to respond to all those
Okay.
comments. So
Okay.
we understand that concern, and we will respond appropriately. We're not avoiding it. I just can't speak
Okay.
to those as
That's
a
fine, as long as it'll be
got it.
answered.
We'll make sure to get your question answered.
So the traffic safety officer talked about the businesses. We're well aware of the businesses, and we did forward these comments to the Monmouth County Planning Board, so they're aware of the comments from Mr. Manowski. But I'll just go through them in detail. Add a pedestrian path to access Homedale Road from the complex, similar to the existing path along to Main Street. Well, we mentioned the Main Street path, but we're in agreement to provide a path along the eastern side. It'd be easy from that corner of the building or at the edge of that parking lot intersection to extend the walkway to Homedale Road. Now, here comes the issue. It's add appropriate sidewalks along Homedale Road to access the businesses in the village. We looked at that, and the first question was, where would we go on our side of the street? And we looked and said, there are sidewalks on the opposite side of Homedale Road. So as he goes down the next comment, he says, add appropriate pedestrian signage for crosswalks. I'm sorry, stop here. He mentions about a crosswalk across Homedale Road. Let's see what comment that is. Apologize here, I had it here for a minute. No, where is it? Sorry, I lost my comment here. Let's see. Talk about the speed limit on Homedale Road also. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, the third comment. Added marked crosswalk.
No, we just couldn't find it on the list.
I'm
Thank you
sorry,
very
I lost my
much
path here. Added marked crosswalk with appropriate MUTCD pedestrian signage at the intersection of Spring Valley Road. So with that recommendation, we said, geez, if we provide that pedestrian crossing at the Spring Valley Road location, that would provide, and we have the interconnection, the path from our parking lot to Homedale Road. We would agree to provide that, the crosswalk across Homedale Road to the existing sidewalks on the east side of Homedale Road, which connects to some of the businesses along the road there. In particular, you have the little shopping center with the pizzeria, the bank, and realtor, and then a little bit further south you have the pharmacy there. So there are existing sidewalks in place on that side of the road. So we will apply to Monmouth County for the permission to permit us to have a pedestrian crosswalk at the Spring Valley Road intersection for pedestrians to cross the road and then have access to those businesses on the east side of Homedale Road. So we haven't spoken with the traffic safety officer about that yet. We're going to reach out to Monmouth County and get their temperature on it, as well as the comment about trying to reduce the speed limit, lower the speed limit from 50 miles per hour to 40 miles per hour. I mean, we're in 100% agreement with that. We just have to, we have no jurisdiction over that or the ability to do that, but we can take that request to Monmouth County and see what they would require, whether there's any action from the township committee or anything else that would to help them along with that. But we will, and we'll provide everyone with appropriate documentation that we're in touch with the county on that, because I think those are they're good ideas. And then again, eliminating the passing zones on Homedale Road, totally up to the county on that. So we don't have any. We're in 100% compliance. We're willing to comply with the traffic safety officer comments. Some of the other comments, are insight on the site about crosswalk signage, some stop signs, some bars associated with it, with the stop signs. Trying to think if there was anything else on here that we had any issues with. I got to believe we're 100% willing to conform with all his requests.
You have your traffic engineer here, right?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
I don't know, I don't know if it's a great idea to have them crossing the street at Spring Valley, especially if there's older people crossing the street. I think that could be more of an issue than...
Well, understand, that's a recommendation. We're not required to do it by anything in the redevelopment plan. We can vet it out here. We can vet it out with the traffic safety officer, and then our traffic engineer, Mr. Ray, will speak to it a little bit more. He has a little more experience with that than I do, but I wanted to put it on record as to us are willing to comply with the comments, and obviously Monmouth County has the ultimate say as to any improvements that are associated with their County Route 4, or what we know as Homedale Road.
Question. Mark, we have just approved Heavenly Estates directly across the street
Finally. Huh?
from your project. My recollection was the county wanted their not their driveway, their street to be directly across from your driveway. Is that right? Are there any sidewalks on 520 there, on either side?
No, we're down here. You know, I don't believe so. I mean, I haven't specifically looked at it, but we're looking at the aerial here now.
One
Well,
of the...
looks like there's portions of it, yeah.
Not right there, no.
Okay. During that discussion, I was concerned about those residents having access to anything. And so it looks like they're not going to really have access to anything, along with no ability to cross the street to the extent of not taking their life in their hands. So, number one, you weren't aware that there's going to be a new road across from your driveway, right?
Right.
Okay.
But I'm sure Monmouth County is aware of it, and when they review our application, I'm sure that'll come into part of their review. Probably more, concerning to that road, since our entrance is existing and not proposing any improvements to it or alterations to it. But when we have our discussions with Monmouth County, we'll talk to them about it to see what if they have concerns about it.
And some general questions about your testimony so far. The total number of lots or lot designations is only 2, right? There's 1501 and 1502?
Yes.
That's it?
Yes.
No 1503 or 4, right?
No.
Okay. So all of your construction, your project, happens on 1501?
Yes.
Okay. 02 is going to Homedale.
That's correct.
I don't know if you can address this, but you've got different things going on in different areas. Even in Heavenly Estates across the street, they're required to have a homeowners association. There's only 15 houses there. And you talked about garbage pickup. I know in Homedale, we can have whatever garbage company we want.
Yes.
So every day of the week, even in individual days of the week, you have multiple garbage companies up and down the street.
I remember it well, yes.
Is that going to happen here? Are they individually going to contract with individual garbage companies, for example? Is there going to be a homeowners association? What form of ownership, I guess?
I'm going to let our esteemed attorney answer that question.
Thank you, Mark. Yes, Mr. Fagan, there's going to be what we're going to call a site-wide condominium association for each phase. And then some of the phases will have essentially a sub-condominium. So again, each phase will be a separate condominium unit, and then within 1 or 2 of them, there may be an additional homeowners association. It will be, as we've indicated, developed as a cohesive entire development of all 4 phases. I think the intent is to have a single hauler for all 4 of them. As Mark indicated, phase 1 and phase 3 will be sharing a single dumpster that they will both have employees bring the 1 and 4, I'm sorry. I get the phases mixed up myself. So yes, the anticipation, it will be a coordinated community with coordinated services, including garbage pickup.
Okay. Additionally, someone will testify about you have indoor parking. You have residents above the parking garages.
Yes.
So someone will testify about smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, nitrous oxide detectors within that facility.
Yes,
But
sir.
that's not you.
No.
Our architect will address that.
In the sequence, this may be later, but in the sequence of construction I saw, it makes no mention of the package treatment plan at all, and when that's going to be phased in. So maybe we could look at
Well,
that.
no, that's very easy. That has to take place during phase 1.
Did I understand you to say that the stormwater discharges directly to the stream?
It does.
So, Kate, I may need help with that to understand that. I mean,
I'm not the one for that, but yes.
my engineer, my professionals.
Yes.
So the question becomes, how is that? Like, aren't there regulations for retention basins, detention basins? I looked at that site. I saw some of the drainage apparatus that goes to the stream, I saw it worn away, eroded. So I'm concerned about funneling more untreated and unstopped stormwater.
So, so Mr. Fagan, we have to remember that this is an existing developed site, and it's anticipated that back in the 70s, 80s, whenever this was developed, it was developed to meet those stormwater requirements at that time, which actually at that point, I believe generally it would just get the water out, get into a pipe and get it to a stream. So that's the existing condition. So now what the latest regulations require is to basically make that situation better by a number of means, whether it be a BMP, which is a detention basin like you indicated, or different bioretention basins, or one of the ways that you can prove that you're making it better, meeting the requirements of the stormwater, is that you are reducing impervious cover, which reduces the water off of the site. And I did review the calculations, and it can be rather difficult because the stormwater, the rates are based off of a bell curve, like any other bell curve you've seen. And to prove the meeting the requirements, you have to show that every point in that curve, the proposed condition is less than the existing condition. And they're doing this through removing pavement and putting more landscaped areas, and they've proven that. So at the end of the day, they're bettering the site by removing impervious pavement. They're bettering the site by removing impervious pavement and lessening the stormwater off of the site. And in addition to that, and the thing is it's based off of what's there now. If it was all woods, then you have to meet the requirements of the woods. In this case, it's a developed site. So in addition, the water quality measures that are required are based off of new, call it not even impervious cover, new motor vehicle surface, which is where a car is going to park, or a roadway where a car will travel. So in this case, they're removing a lot of the parking areas and replacing with roof areas, which isn't water that needs to be treated. So at the end of the day, they are removing overall impervious coverage from the site, which reduces the flows. And number two, some of that impervious cover that is still there is being replaced with roof areas or sidewalk areas that you don't need to treat because it's not motor vehicles. So in general, they're meeting requirements of the stormwater management requirements. Now, you mentioned specifically related to scouring, or if there is an erosion problem at the outfall, that would really be addressed by the Soil Erosion Sediment Control District certification, and they would need to prove that the flows going out don't cause any scour issues.
Thank you.
Wait, can I ask a question to Craig real quick?
Absolutely.
Craig, would the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection consider this a major project for stormwater management?
It is a major development. Anything over an acre of disturbance is considered a major development by both DEP regulations and also your stormwater ordinance, which is based off of DEP regulations.
You mentioned there's an existing cooling tower. Is that being reused?
No, that will be removed.
I see to the north, I guess, of the lagoon, we'll call it. It looks like, I don't remember what's there. Is it tennis courts that are there now?
Yes, there's existing basketball and tennis courts there.
What's happening with that?
Those will be, they'll be continued. They'll be, right now they're in a little bit of a state of disrepair. Those will be repaired. And those are by part of the agreement, or they're made during the redevelopment plan process, that those will be open to the public. So those are going to remain.
You mentioned that you're abiding now by 100-foot buffer. That's what I remember. And while the Category 1 stream now has a 300-foot buffer required, if you don't do anything within that zone, you don't have to abide by it, I guess. My point was, I thought you said you showed the 300-foot buffer on the map, and I don't see it.
Well, it may not be clear on all the maps. If you look at the, say the rendering on the screen right now, you
Yes.
can see the white line that lies just outside of the
Yes.
lagoon, and actually goes right through the tennis courts. It is on,
You're saying that's the 300-foot?
it is.
Thank you.
Are we asking questions now?
That's it from me.
We can certainly entertain questions. We haven't finished going through all the reports, so if you have questions now, we can certainly field them.
I don't exactly know when the first preliminary meeting was, but I was on this board a few years ago when you first came. Correct me if I'm wrong, the original plan had 2 5-story buildings within the ring road. Am I correct in saying that? And now there's 2 3-story buildings, one within the loop road and one where the softball field is. Why change that? I have a concern with basically phase 3.
I can't speak to that. I wasn't part of that process.
Am I wrong in saying that there was 2 5-story buildings within the ring road?
I'm not familiar with it. I don't. We have to ask someone else on it. I'm sorry.
Who would have that answer? Because to me, 2 5-story buildings within the ring road is much more aesthetically pleasing, because if, to my eyes, phase 3 is basically its own separate development with a new building and a new parking lot where open space is right now.
But the redevelopment plan has already been adopted.
I understand it conforms, I
And that's what
understand.
we're here, we prepared this plan in conformance with that, so we don't have the ability to change that at this point in time. I guess that goes back to the,
Yeah, Mr. Emmett, that's exactly just what I was about to say, is that I was not part of those discussions. I wasn't serving as the sports planner at that time, so I don't know. But the way the redevelopment plan is written is that anything has to substantially conform to the concept plan that's in the redevelopment plan. So anything major like that, that would be a whole new amendment to the plan at this point. I don't know anything about what it looked like or why anything.
So no one can answer my question, was there in fact 2 5-story buildings within the loop road?
I can see if there's a member of our team that can answer that question, but as the planner indicated, this was an ongoing process, as you mentioned, with input from both the developer as well as the town, and the final plan, the redevelopment plan, does not allow those 5-story buildings. It allows what's being presented, so I'm not sure the
All right, so
value
this
of
might
it.
be all a moot point.
Exploring
right?
why and if you don't mind me asking, I don't mean to be rude or push back against you, sir, what is the concern of why they're not 5-story versus the 3 stories?
The height of the building is not my concern. My concern is the phase 3 is where an existing open space softball field is now. Whereas before, that building, whether 3 or 5,
Okay,
was within the loop road, and to me, way more aesthetically pleasing, because the closest homes are directly east of phase 3 that looks right onto that. So that, again, it looks to me like that's a completely separate development. It's got its own driveway, own parking lot, and own facilities. So it's almost to me like there's 2 separate developments. 1, 2, and 4, and 3 is a completely separate development that just happens to share a driveway.
yeah, I understand your concern. To a degree, that phase does kind of operate separately. It is the assisted living, it's got the beds. It does operate differently. The vehicles that come and go to support that are different. So I think the design was to have that there. It also provides more open space in different areas throughout the site. And I think that was the understanding and the motivation to change it to the current design in the redevelopment plan versus the original.
Just to be clear, that phase 3 is the oldest, sickest, and poorest occupants of this plan will be in that phase 3.
Yes, I mean, clearly, but again, the way that building operates is different than the other buildings. It's like, for example, mixing which in some instances is certainly desirable, but missing commercial with residential, retail with residential. Sometimes you want those separated. Like I said, the types of trucks and vehicles that will be servicing it don't necessarily lend themselves well to the other residential developments. So there is somewhat of a science behind why it's designed that way. But I think our architect maybe can explain how the buildings function and interrelate to each other.
Yeah, again, just getting back to my original point of, originally, when it was proposed to us, I understand it was preliminary. There were 2 buildings within the ring road, with the understanding that the existing plan does conform to the redevelopment plan. I do understand that.
Yeah, but I'm trying to say, what's your concern, Ron?
My concern is
just
it's-
the neighbors are looking
it's-
at the house?
Yes,
That's it?
yes, and that's open space right now. That's a softball field. Now there's a parking lot and a building there, which is closest to the neighbors.
You know, I can't refute where it's located, but there is a 200-foot dedicated buffer along Holmdel Road that when we get to Phase 3 will be appropriately planted, landscaped, and buffered. And as the building's now proposed, it's approximately 600 feet from the road, and we can do additional landscaping and the like. And there are some mature trees at that northeast corner of the site that provides.
Just to be clear, that 200-foot buffer is there currently. It's not like you're adding more. It's there now. In fact, you're taking it away by putting a building and parking lot there.
No, the 200-foot buffer.
Is currently there.
No doubt, but we're gonna enhance the buffer with additional plantings and screening and the like we did to the south of the driveway, that's all. I'm not arguing with you, please don't take it that way. Like we're coming here with this redevelopment plan, much like any other, location in town with the zoning in place. The zoning is the zoning, and we come before you with the redevelopment plan, 100% conforming plan, and I don't have the history of the I don't even want to pretend I know about the 5-story, but I'm here with the regulations that are in place today, much like your engineer talked about the stormwater things. People may not like them, but those are the rules and the regs that we live by.
Just one other comment or question about the wastewater treatment. T&M's letter that we got today, dated September 30th, the first point says sewage flows for phases 2, 3, and 4 will be carried by new sewer pipes installed throughout the development and will discharge into the existing pump station serving the existing building. Then, later in the same letter, second page, however, it is our understanding the applicant will be reviewing alternatives to rehabilitation up to and including a new packaged wastewater and treatment plant that could be constructed as phases 2, 3, and 4 are developed. That seems contradictory to me.
Yeah, and we will have our engineer address that, and we ourselves are not quite sure where that understanding came from, because we are only proposing to modernize and upgrade the existing plant. We're not proposing, as the second page indicates, possibly basically removing the whole plant and rebuilding a brand new one. That's not the intention. The intention is to not increase the existing capacity, which we've agreed to with the town in our redevelopment agreement, and to modernize it and upgrade it so it's not state-of-the-art, but certainly complies with all the DEP regulations, and that's, that permitting process will dictate the final design and will comply with the regulations as they change. It's not that they review it only when the permits are renewed, but if there's updated standards that apply, it will comply as it goes forward. So there is no intention to rebuild it. I'm sorry, to replace it as indicated. It's just to rebuild and upgrade to modernize it and can make it comply.
2 more things. Number 5, in the same letter, number 5, it says a new packaged wastewater treatment plant will be installed.
Again, that's not proposed.
Okay.
It's just
Go
the
ahead.
upgrade and
I still have
modernization.
one more, but you go ahead.
Mr. Fagan, what letter was that from? What
That's
were
the
you-
September 30th.
the brand new one. Oh, okay, okay, yes.
From the township engineer.
Yes, okay, yes, we also reviewed that and had some questions, but my read of that is, and I think that just Mr. Kem just said, is that it's really contingency on the township side almost but all of anything beyond the phase 1 improvements which is just to rehabilitate it to be more functional, anything with that would have to, A, be reviewed by the township engineer and come before this board for the next phase.
That's correct, if we
Yes.
were proposing those changes.
Yes, anything, yeah, so.
Understood. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, just wanna make sure that the board knows, you can't just say, here's what we're doing for the public too, it's not just, this is what we're doing in phase one and then completely change that. It's not like once you approve this wastewater tonight, if it's part of phase one, then they don't have to come back. They would absolutely have to, and they would be subject to T&M's review as well.
That's correct. We agree with that.
One last comment or question. In regards to the 5 acres that you're donating to the township for the fire/EMS potential station, is it the developer's intention to also contribute money towards that fire station?
The redevelopment agreement does not provide for that. The township would take on any cost of developing that piece.
I knew that. I just wanted to throw that out
Throw
there
it
for the
out there.
public to have you answer that question.
Certainly. That's what we're here for.
My last one is struggling with the buffer, and I maybe need, it's semantics or definitions perhaps. I'm looking at page 12 of 32. So it's this plan. Like that.
What's it titled?
12. Phase 1 site plan overall layout.
Yes.
Okay, so to the left side, what is that? That's the west side. Here's what it's called out. 50-foot wetlands buffer, and then Homedale Township stream corridor buffer, 100 feet, and then NJDEP riparian zone, 300 feet. Are those not drawn to scale? How could one be, I mean, there's 50 feet, there's 100 feet, and then there's 300 feet.
Right, and the 300-foot line is far outside of those, the 50 feet and 100 feet.
I'm
I think what
questioning,
he means
how
is
can they
he's
be accurate?
scaling like on the thing that like a half inch is 50, but then an inch is 300, right? That's what you mean?
How can,
So, Mr. Fagan, if
Yeah.
I may, those
Yes.
lines aren't based off of the same line.
that's it.
The 300 feet is based off of top of bank, whereas the 50-foot buffer is based off of the edge of the wetlands, which isn't necessarily a top of bank. So that's how each one is specific to itself.
Okay. I've seen the bank. I think this needs to be revisited. Thank you.
This is based on a survey, correct? And you have an environmental expert too, so.
If there's no other
That's all.
questions, we'll proceed back to addressing the reports.
Sure.
That's all.
Thank you, board members. We'll turn next to your board engineer's report dated September 26, 2025. As indicated, we agree to comply with those comments. To the satisfaction of your board engineer, there's one or two items that our engineer wants to discuss further, and I'll turn it back to Mark. Got a fun minute.
This is the September 26th Craig's report?
That's correct.
On comment, DEA talked about and I think we clarified it, but there was a requirement in the redevelopment plan for a 12-foot wide trail. And we had some discussions about that early on in the design, and it was determined that the 6-foot wide bike lane and the 6-foot wide walking trail side by side would accomplish that 12-foot wide trail that's required by the redevelopment plan.
So actually, Mr. Zena, on the circulation plan, I think you have a cross-section of the loop road.
Yes.
So, 24, so the loop road is 30 feet wide now?
Yes.
And then, so you're gonna have a 6-foot wide bike lane, then a 6-inch curb, and then a sidewalk, so there'll be a separation between the two.
That is correct.
Okay. Just
Sep-
wanted
a
to-
vertical separation, but horizontally it's aligned and would go around the
We'll
entire.
have a 6-inch vertical separation, right? Or is it?
No, that's correct, no.
Okay,
6-inch vertical separation, but it's around the entire inner perimeter of the loop road for that.
So I just wanted the board to understand what that loop road is gonna look like with that 12-foot wide, what's in the conformance with the redevelopment plan.
It's only adding 6 feet though, right? Because the bike lane is already on part of the
Correct.
road. Then a
Correct.
curb and then 6 feet for the walking.
Correct. However, the loop road is wide enough to provide 6-foot wide bike lane and 2 normal 12-foot wide lanes. So there's more than enough room to accommodate that.
The other, again, we're totally in agreement to work with your engineer and provide whatever information he needs and whatever revisions, but just, there was an item D14 that talked about a temporary green buffer. It was marked on our plan. What happened is, on the western perimeter of Phase 1, where we're creating new driveways, we just wanted to remove some of the pavement far beyond the driveways that we're constructing, so there's a 40-foot green space where it was labeled on our plans as a buffer. It's really just a 40-foot green space that would exist until the construction of Phase 2 took place. During the course of preparation for the meeting, it's my understanding that Phase 2 will practically, it's just planned that Phase 2 will practically take place at the same time, so that green space will ultimately be incorporated into the Phase 2 plans for the townhomes, and a portion of it exists in Phase 4. That will just be landscaped in a temporary manner until the Phase 4 building can be built. So it was noted as such on one of our plans as a buffer, but it was just the green space outside of the driveway where we're removing some of the pavement of the existing parking lot until the construction of Phase 2 takes place. So not a big deal, it's just the way it was labeled on our plans.
And it's just a grass area if it's there.
Temporarily, yes. Sorry about that. I didn't
So
mean-
it's really more like temporary.
Temporary stabilization, as they say.
Yeah, exactly. So it's an area that is pavement now. It will be green. It'll be grass after Phase 1 demolition, and then as Phases 2 and 4 grow, then it will be part of that.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for
Well
clarifying.
said. One of the comments had to do with, I think item C6 I have about the compactor, about being for only Phase 1. I guess we were clarifying the comment about the compactors for Phase 1 and future Phase 4. Not the compactor, I'm sorry, the enclosure of Phase 1 and Phase 4. Phase 2, the individual townhomes will have individual trash pickup in that community. I think that's pretty straightforward as well. Then the other thing we have to discuss has to do with the tree removal plan. Right now we provided for the location of trees that are going to be removed in Phase 1. And I think your comment had to do with locating additional trees that are to remain beyond that, and quite frankly, we wanted to see if we can get relief from that.
What comment was that?
G1D.
Yeah, we had located some within the limits of Phase 1, but we weren't extensive in terms of locating all the trees that were outside of either limits of construction or that would be affected by construction. So we were just hoping for some concurrence on the way we approached it at this time.
I guess I think we can work with the applicant on that. I think the biggest thing is to make sure we quantify any existing trees that are going to be removed.
I think we accomplished that, but we'll be happy to review it with you.
Okay. But I understand. I think I understand what you're asking is you don't want to locate every single tree on the site, especially if it's going to stay. And I agree with that.
That's exactly it. Yes, thank you. And then, when we look through the letter, I think everything else is like somewhat technical in nature, very technical in nature. Some omissions, some dimensions, removing some fire hydrants and things like that. So, Nothing there, don't take this as disrespectful, really affects the site plan. It's technical in nature. It doesn't change it, and we're happy to work with Craig and make the appropriate revisions to the plans. We're in complete concurrence with his comments. Yep.
So, just a couple of questions. The Loop Road, which Mr. Zelina clarified. I just wanted to talk, I know Mr. Fagan, you asked a question regarding stormwater. So again, this is a redeveloping of an existing site. So they met the rules back then, and the rules now are comparing what, the stormwater is gonna be compared to this existing condition now. It is going to be better just by the removal of impervious area. And in general, the impervious area has been reduced overall. And like I said before, the net motor vehicle surface has been reduced, and that in and of itself meets the requirements of the stormwater management requirements of the ordinance and the DEP. And I said they went through the proper methodology to prove that. I did ask for a little bit of information regarding the recharge, which I think they agreed to address that. So
Yes.
I don't see an issue with that. So my understanding is based off of the testimony of sanitary, everything is going to be gravity feeding towards that pump station for the entire development, and the pump station will then pump it to the existing treatment plant. We just asked that, of course, the force main and any existing pipes that remain to be evaluated, camera, to make sure that the condition is meets the requirements for the use. We had some discussions regarding the crosswalks across Homedale Road, and anything involving Homedale Road, of course, would need approval from the county, because it's a county road. And they would, of course, the applicant would need to put the required ADA ramps and everything on either side of the intersection to make sure that, the elderly, if they're using it, they have the proper facilities to get up on the sidewalk. And those are really the questions that I had.
Thank you, Craig. The other report is the board planner's report dated September 23. We agree to comply with all those conditions to her satisfaction. And just to confirm, one of the requests was to confirm the lighting levels along the pedestrian paths, and we'll provide additional detail to your satisfaction to make sure those are correct.
Great. I just have one other question, which is, I believe it's number 5, which is about all the phase 1 improvements. We just want to make sure that we know everything that's part of phase 1, especially the public and private amenities. And I know you testified to the eastern open space. I can't remember what acreage you just said, but we'd like to see that on the plan. Maybe it was on there somewhere, but just make sure
It
that
was
that's
not.
clear. Okay.
7.3.
That's
but
it.
it was.
Okay. And how is that? What kind of, is that going to have an easement on it? Is that going to be like a township open space easement, or what? Is anything like that planned? I'm not sure. I didn't see anything in the redevelopment agreement, but I may have missed it.
Yeah, I don't remember the detail in the redevelopment agreement, but we'll
Okay.
certainly work with you and the township attorney as to what the conservation easement will entail. My understanding would be, traditionally every town has its own form and details, but essentially it will remain open space except for the improvements that will be in it
Okay.
as part of the amenities, and that we wouldn't make any changes without getting relief from the township and the planning board. It's usually something along those lines.
Yeah, what I do see it. It is mentioned in the redevelopment agreement. I apologize. It's not very detailed,
Right.
but I just wanted to be sure that, because the township's conservation easements are very stringent, and it looks like that they are looking for an open space restriction, which is not quite as stringent. So that's fine, and as long as it's, open space shall be determined during the site plan process. It sounds like you have that and everything's in compliance, but just wanted to, because that'll have to be part of, it says here, in the developer's agreement, the open space will be dedicated to the township. So,
Correct.
Prior to the commencement of construction of the last phase. So I think I just wanted sorry, the reason I'm bringing all of this up is because of the way that this application is phased. And we just want to make sure that we're not putting any conditions in this resolution that will prevent you from going forward with phase one. You know, like for example, my reading of the application was that this open space was part of phase one. It sounds like it might not be, so we just want to be clear there.
So, not to split hairs, but the development and the creation of that area is part of phase one. The easement will come as the redevelopment agreement
Well,
says.
that's what.
So there's kind of two different things
That's
there.
exactly, but that's exactly the kind of hair splitting that I'm talking about.
I
So,
understand,
yep.
yeah. So that's why I wanted to illustrate the difference between
Yep.
the two.
So-
If I may,
Yeah.
I think we've just established what the open space will entail, the development and non-development in it, and then I think as far as a potential condition of approval, which we hope the board grants, that it would be entered into in accordance with the redevelopment agreement and with the township in conjunction with the board professionals,
Well-
so that we don't create a condition that is adverse to the redevelopment agreement.
I would actually, I mean, I don't even know if that should be in here for phase one, right? Because we can discuss that amongst the attorneys. But I
Okay.
just want to make sure that there's nothing in there that doesn't say that it has to be.
I understood,
Done, so, okay.
and I appreciate the foresight on that, so we don't create ourselves, as Craig and I were talking before, we don't create, a never-ending loop
Yeah.
chasing our tail trying to get resolution compliance on
Yeah.
phase one because
Yeah,
of
yeah.
awarded conditions.
Exactly.
So-
Yeah, and we talked about that as well, and especially because that's the kind of thing that so often is like you have to get all the you have to get the meets and bounds and blah blah blah.
Right.
So we don't want to make sure that's not in there.
I understood and appreciate, and I think, like you said, if the board grants the approval, we can certainly all put our heads together with the board attorney and make sure, and the township attorney as well, and make sure that that wording complies and doesn't create an issue and also satisfies the requirement in the redevelopment agreement and the redevelopment plan. But I said, again, appreciate it. We'll make sure that we sharpen our pencils when we draft that provision. But thank you for that insight.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, that was. Let me see if I have anything else. What's going on? And I apologize if missed this in the first part of the testimony. What's going on with those existing sports courts, the ones in the back?
Those will be retained,
Okay.
and I know your comment was about access to it. If you can look on the I don't know if we can blow it up enough
Yeah,
to show,
yeah, okay.
there is an existing path that runs from
Okay.
the loop road to that.
Okay.
So those
Okay.
will be
So all of that's just because that's where you might run into some issues with the riparian if you were to add something,
I
substantial there.
understand that,
So,
and
yep,
and it's also my understanding that as part of the redevelopment discussions, that those would be retained and be open to the public,
sounds good to me. Okay, thank you.
as well as that helipad
Right.
there.
Yeah, the only other thing I would say and this is more for the board's knowledge and also, for the public, is that, this is a large application. Obviously, in our review letter is, I think we covered everything, but it's not as detailed as sometimes it often is. And I just wanted to be clear there is that because this has already been vetted by the township professionals, by the township's planner who wrote the plan, and the township attorney. There's a letter dated, the conformance review dated July 25th. So, obviously we are your professionals. We are serving this board, so we look at it from our perspective. But there's many things, for example, like signage, et cetera, that are mentioned in the conformance review that they approved them and that they think that it conforms to the redevelopment plan. So, we looked at it for the phase one details in particular, and we want to make sure it conforms to all the other aspects of the ordinance as well as the redevelopment plan, and that's, for example, why I raised the lighting. But I'm happy to answer any additional questions if there's anything that was not in the review letter that you have questions about from the planning perspective.
The lighting on the sports courts on the eastern side, closest to Homedale Road, those are lighted?
Yes.
How high are those lights?
30 feet.
And those aren't existing, those are new.
Those are brand new, yes.
And how late at night will those lights be on? When will they be turned off?
We'll have to come up with that. I don't know if we have a time.
We'll make sure those are on a timer so that they're not on, too late all night long or anything like that.
Thank you, because again, those are closest to the homeowners.
Understood.
Those do shine light, more like down than out, so.
And then the other reports that we received, we have touched quite a bit on the T&M report about the wastewater. The other report that we have not addressed is from your traffic consultant, which our traffic engineer will address during his testimony. That is the extent of Mr. Zelina's testimony. He's available for questions from the board and public.
Anything else up before I open to the public?
I would offer a comment then, that is, that the project is located in planning area 5 of New Jersey, which looks to have the least disturbance of land. One of the reasons it's in planning area 5 is because this freshwater stream serves our swimming river reservoir. So if this project was not grandfathered, I have some doubt as if this would, if density and the sewer system would be allowed. This property really should serve as a stormwater recharge for our reservoir, in my opinion. And stormwater funneled directly into storm sewers and directly discharge into streams. While it's technically permitted, it really doesn't strike me as working in the spirit of what best practices are. That's it.
Well, look, the one,
Okay.
all right, let's, question, are there any things about this project, whether the renovation costs or the change in use, they wouldn't trigger any retroactive requirements with that respect?
There's no retroactive requirements. They just have to meet, for example, stormwater, everything that Craig went through earlier. Which, you know, is just not to say that they, you know, there are standards that apply to this. It is a major development, and they do have to show those improvements over the bell curve.
Right.
I just actually have just one comment, Ron, about just going back to the lighting. To Mr. Zelina and to Mr. Kem, this is in, we mentioned it, we mentioned it very briefly, but it's also in the PSNS report. The 30-foot lighting is technically not permitted. The maximum lighting that's mentioned in the redevelopment plan is 24 feet. And so it says 12 feet for pedestrian walkways, 24 feet for parking lots. That does not specifically address sports courts lighting. So, you know, is that something that, could those be taken down to 24 feet, or is that, you know, would you like to request a waiver?
We'll look into it.
Okay, okay.
I'm not the lighting expert, but we'll take a look. I understand the concern, and we'll see if there.
Okay, yeah, because it's kind of a gray area in this plan. And again, you know, it was reviewed for conformance by the author of the redevelopment plan, but if there is no mention of lighting over 30 feet. So that might be, that's something we would like to, I think the answer is that all lighting will be in conformance with the development plan.
Understood.
I think at this juncture, we would ask for the waiver, and then if it can be reduced to 24 feet and still provide safe illumination, because again, if there's people playing sports at night, you deal with it more with, sorry, I must have hit the microphone and loosened it up, my apologies. It needs to be a certain level of lighting to make sure there's safe play. You deal with it more with football fields and soccer fields and stuff, but if they're shadowing, things of that nature, that could cause a safety issue. But assuming we can do that, we will agree to drop it to 24, but would ask for the waiver condition upon reviewing the height.
Okay, yeah, because again, this is, like I said, the township's professionals did review these exact plans, and they determined that it was in conformance with the redevelopment plan. But I think I just wanted to raise that point.
Thank you.
Marty, what's the total number of affordable units that we have to get to this year? Do you know?
Phase 4, round 4? I'm not sure. It's
100 and something? 106. And this is going to have 48 of those 106.
42.
Yeah?
42.
48 affordable.
42.
42.
Phase 1. 1.
42 total, or
Yes, 42 total for the entire project, all phases. If you want, I can give you the breakdown by phase if you would like.
I thought it was, phase one had 104 units and 21 were low income?
Unless unless my math is wrong. So
48.
It should be 48.
Phase one was 104.
I have 48.
48, yeah.
Carl, I think you're not counting the 6 in the assisted living, the 10% Medicaid bed set aside. But those do count.
yes, Kate, you're correct. That's where my math is wrong. Thank you for bearing with me on that. Good thing I'm not an accountant.
Oh, does anyone else have any more questions for this witness? No? All right, so, do we take public comments at this point? Questions, I mean. All right, so, if anyone wants to come up and have any questions, you come up and state your name.
Peter Franco, and with the...
Maybe you need the microphone, sorry. Oops.
Oh. Is it on?
Well, you can wait, we'll call you up when he's done, yeah, thank you. Or you can just sit in the
There
front.
you go.
Peter Franco Senior,
Yeah.
with the 5 Hopbrook Lane. I just want to tell everybody that there is...
This
an
isn't for,
active airfield
this isn't
above the
a,
property.
it's for questions, sir.
There is...
If you have a question, we have comments later. If you have questions, you can ask a
Yes,
question.
do they know that there is an airfield that abuts your property across Lawndale Road? NJ 72. It's a private airfield.
I was aware of it previously, I wasn't aware it was still inside.
It's active and it's permitted and it's for private use from an hour before sunup to an hour after sundown. An hour before sunset and sundown, sunup. The aircraft that'll be taking off on runway 28 will only be 100 feet off of ground level, above ground level, right over your development. The flight pattern is around your whole development, left-hand pattern.
If you zoom in on the upper right,
You can see,
Yeah, just, yeah.
all right, this is the airfield, right there. So we'll be taking off, probably by the time we hit Homedale Road, about 100 foot above ground level. Noise, all permitted, aircraft permitted,
How often do aircraft take off?
as often as we like.
I understand,
You
just
know,
based
so,
on...
Well-
right now, we have,
Mark, you got it.
we have aircraft. You know, they're gonna be landing, they're gonna be taking off.
Sure, I understand that, and I just asked for, we're having the dialogue, and I just wanna have an understanding, and particularly for my client's sake, how frequently do aircraft take off and land from there, based on the current, say the
Right
last...
now,
Say the last
none.
month, what happened?
Right now, none, because what we have to do is get smaller aircraft that are able to take off in the Indianapolis field, because the field was cut down. So now, the state had given us permission to start flying again, and, they just have to approve the type of aircraft that has to be STOL, which is the short landing and takeoff, which we plan on doing.
Is that
We
a
just don't
public
want-
airport, or is that your own personal airport?
That would,
I'm just
it's a
trying to
private airport, but we can invite guests, helicopters and stuff like that are permitted to land. And we don't want 500 people knocking on the door and saying we're making noise, or we're not allowed to do this, that. and the
Yeah,
other.
let's try and keep this to questions, okay?
The
We can do
questions
comments
are,
later.
is everybody in the development going to be informed that there is aircraft and they will be flying in and out.
That sound,
I think that's appropriate, Carl,
Anything else, guys?
That's up to you, sir. You have any more questions?
all right, I just
Yeah, if
wanna
you have
make
more
sure
questions.
Everybody knows there is an active airport there, and it is permitted, it's 100% legal, and this has been an airport since 1967.
When was the last time some planes took off and landed there?
That was Samahar, and that was recently, Peter?
It's before we bought the property.
Okay, so around 2019?
A little earlier, but yeah.
2019 or before, but it will be active.
Are you planning on opening it back up?
Yes, yes.
Listen, this is about questions, Ron, right now. So let him ask questions of the witness, and then we can make our comments later. Are you done, sir?
Yes, I am.
Okay. State your name and address, please.
I'm 5 Hopper Lane, Pete Franco. We own that property
Okay.
across the street. As far as the crosswalks that you guys are talking about, you did mention it's a 50-mile-an-hour road. It is a passing zone. I know you're talking about talking to the county now or after your project's done and then they deny it and then you don't have anything. What happens with I believe it's 17 homes for Heavenly Estates across the street? With 15? Okay. With the added traffic, with, again, more cars, more people crossing, again, there not being any sidewalks. It seems that you guys are really versed within, your property, but on the outskirts, there's just so much going on. What would happen there? What happens with, I own the farm across the street. I bought it 6 years ago. We're getting it off the ground. We're inundated with deer now. What happens with all of the deer that come from your property? It's bad enough that my electric fence can't keep up with what we have. When everything that you guys have disrupts that, and now they start going, more deer across my property, and now it directly affects me. How do we prevent this?
I can't prevent any migration. But you are aware that this is an existing site that is developed, over 1,700 parking spaces as an office building.
Sure.
And as such, if that were to open today, we wouldn't have been here. But the town had believed that this should be, a better need for this, or better use of this property would be this transitional active adult development here that would satisfy the needs of a lot of things within the township, including housing for older residents, as well as some affordable housing that, granted, it's not the township who wants that, but unfortunately their hands are tied by the state, who requires, as we talked about, a certain number of affordable housing. So there's a lot of things that this development provides for the township and the residents of this township as well. And it really, when you see the end result of this thing, it's going to really get rid of an eyesore. I mean, this is not a particularly wonderful looking building that's sitting there. It's a very old 2-story building that's going to be modified to a beautiful residential structure, and we're reducing the impervious pavement. So we're repurposing an existing developed site. We're not cutting down trees or forests or things like that.
Sir, there's nothing we could do about the deer, so
Yeah.
that's a moot point.
Yeah.
So.
Sorry to get on my high
Sports
horse here.
courts on the far side that you're talking about.
Yes.
Who maintains them? They're in major disrepair. My kids grew up playing basketball there. That ball field is used on a daily basis. The one that you guys want to put that on, I believe it's phase 4. What happened? Who maintains? Was it the taxpayers that pay for that?
Not
Are
at
you
all.
guys paying
Nope,
for
it's
that?
all private property. It'd be owned by the owners of the development.
Okay, and now that property that you're talking along Main Street, that's what the purpose for that is for a firehouse. Is what you're saying earlier?
We're dedicating it to the township. It's for public good as we know it. If they want, I don't know the plans for that.
If I dedicated 5 acres of my farm for public use, would it stop this?
I don't. No.
There, that's all I have for you.
All right. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Roberta Kaufman, 13 Chestnut Ridge Road. I'm here on behalf of Citizens for Informed Land Use. This is we're always concerned about the watershed that we all drink from. We all drink from the Swimming River Reservoir. So here we have the question is, this is a discharge to surface water project in an area where everybody else is discharging to groundwater. This is a lagoon that had, in between 2000 and 2023, for all the inspections of DEP, it failed 19 times. It has 19 notices of violation. So my question is, how are you really going to retrofit this lagoon that is sitting in the buffer for the Swimming River Reservoir, the Category 1 300-foot buffer? Can you not move it and rearrange this? How are you going to maintain it so it doesn't overflow? And is there not another solution that you, for more money, of course, that we could properly handle the septic system here and the effluent?
We have an engineer who will be testifying later to get into detail about it, but I'm not familiar with the history and the violations you indicated, but the plans we have submitted to DEP is to fully retrograde it and bring it up to all standards so it complies with all applicable standards, and that will be the case. So the fact that it's discharging the C1 is already in the realm of DEP. They're reviewing all that. It will comply fully with all regulations.
So do you have any reply yet back from DEP as to what they're going to require? Originally, the two permits from DEP allowed water to go into the lagoon and water to be sprayed on the lawn in a restricted area to make up the 40,000 gallons per day. Both of these things have failed over time, so we are very concerned.
Yeah, we'll have our engineer discuss those issues when he testifies.
Right, but there is no way you're going to eliminate. Is it part of, I guess the question is for our planner here, is it part of the actual redevelopment plan that they make use of the lagoon? Or could the town, or could you and your best offices ask them to change this?
You're talking about the facility, the existing facility?
The existing facility and the package plant. Is it in the purview of the planning board to ask for a better quality result? Given the fact, I mean, the town has spent years, and the county, preserving and trying to preserve the watershed in the southern slope of Homedale. And this thing goes against all our best intentions over years.
Yeah, I would say that the utilities, including the existing package plant, are addressed in the redevelopment plan. I don't want to misquote it, so please hold for a moment. It is understood that the proposed redevelopment will utilize the existing wastewater treatment plant. So that was codified into the redevelopment plan. It also, does require that everything is done to the satisfaction of the township engineer. That's the letter from TNM, and then there's supplementary review from the planning board.
Could the, aside from taking effluent and spraying it on the lawn, can we as a town can the town engineer ask for a totally new package plants? This was 50 years ago this was designed. Package plants are radically different now. Can we?
You would have to take that all the way back to the township committee. It's not part of the redevelopers agreement. The applicant and the township committee have not. That's not in the purview of this proposal.
Right. As I said, this lagoon is the
Carl,
only.
am I correct? And I don't want to misstate anything, but that's what would be required, right? It would be a whole new.
Among other things,
Yes.
again, this is under DEP jurisdiction, not necessarily the town or the planning board's jurisdiction, just like the county roads under county jurisdiction.
But we may not hear from DEP before the time runs out, and this planning board needs to make their decision. DEP.
But again,
That's not a contingent.
I will say this, like I say at every
Go ahead.
meeting, is that everyone who comes here is going to have to fully comply with all the rules and regulations that are set in place, and they have no obligation to go way above and beyond. We can make requests for them to do that, but they have no obligation to do so.
Okay. The same thing goes, of course, my question then has to do with the stormwater. Again, we have stormwater running off of this. If we were adhering to stormwater regulations that were put in place in March of 2021, you guys would have to have a detention or infiltration basin every 2.5 acres here. We'd have to be filtering the stormwater, and you'd have to be decreasing the quantity of stormwater to 80% of what previously existed here which you might be doing, eliminating the parking lots. But the question is, we have this unknown stormwater distribution system that you've testified to under the existing parking lots. What could you do with rain gardens and additional infiltration basins to make this more worthy of being, less than 2 miles up from our reservoir, dumping straight stormwater straight into the stream?
I understand the desire for additional infiltration. I haven't done specific soil borings on this site, but I'm very much aware of the soils in South Homedale, where I once lived. They're terrible, and they don't infiltrate water. So the infiltration basins aren't maybe or maybe not the greatest thing we could possibly do, but understand we meet the current regulations, even the regulations that you're citing. So as the chairman just alluded to, we are doing, we came into this project and we looked at all the rules, the regulations, the redevelopment agreement, the DEP regulations, your Homedale Township regulations, and our plan is designed to meet all those regulations. I can't say more than that. Are there other things that we could do to cost more money? Absolutely. And money can solve a lot of problems, just like your treatment plant, everything else but that's beyond the purview of our proposal today.
Have you guys done soil borings near the lagoon, for instance?
I have
Or
not.
do you have a geotechnical report for that
I do
area?
not.
Because we had a proposal known as HMF.
Ma'am,
years
I'm sorry, it's just that we have a lot to get to, okay? So keep it either questions
You
or.
got it. There's a lagoon on the other side proposed that was taken down. The whole office complex was eliminated because of that lagoon seasonal high water table was too high. So you're correct about water, that's for sure. My last question is about the building itself. Initially, and you are correct, there were 2 5-story buildings within the loop. They were shown in pic. The building originally had a proposal to be fully utilized with 252 apartment units, whether they're for sale or for what. And that was a far better utilization of the building. This is a 350,000 square foot building, and yet we're only yielding 104 apartments, and now the balance of what these people need to make this financially feasible is being distributed into the backyard. My question is, why have you not more fully utilized the existing building?
I can't answer that. That's beyond my purview.
I think the only answer to that is that the development, including the phase 1 of the existing building, fully complies with the redevelopment plan as we've testified to tonight. So we comply with what's required.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be insensitive to everyone here, but, we all have opinions on how we feel that this place should be developed, but that's, we could sit here all day and talk about all the different things that could be done, right?
I know, but this was what the original proposal showed back at CHA.
Right, it's
252 units within the building, and I'm just reflecting what the ground is.
Roberta, the architect will also be testifying, who I'm sure will speak about
Yeah,
some
no.
of the
Sure.
some of the challenges, converting this type of use. So.
All right. Is there anyone else have any? Yes, come on up. And please, it's late, so let's try and be very concise and to the point if we can. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kristen Solero. I own the farm at 5 Hawk Brook Lane. Just a quick question.
Microphone.
No, I will not. We lost the cover. So this is the first notice we've gotten, and again, we're the landowners right there, so this is the first notice we've gotten about this, so apologies if we seem a little late to the game here. Just generally, I wonder if it's been considered how this rezoning benefits the neighborhood versus the town. So has that been studied and analyzed and reported upon properly?
If I may, I will just give a brief history of this. The township, let me see, it's in my report, I don't want to get the dates wrong. I was not involved in this directly. In 2023, the Township Committee directed this planning board to prepare a preliminary investigation as to whether the site qualified as an area in need of redevelopment. That is a state designation. That is, there's a variety of different ways something can qualify. And one of the things that qualifies is office buildings that are substantially vacant and have been for a long time. The former planning board planner prepared a study. A public hearing was held before this planning board in July 2024. Planning board recommended that the area be designated as a non-condemnation area in need of redevelopment. Township Committee made that designation also in 2024, and then they authorized the township planner, who's Kendra Leely of Kyle and McManus Associates, to prepare this redevelopment plan. This redevelopment plan was introduced as an ordinance by the Township Township Committee. It came before this planning board for a consistency review with the master plan, and then it was adopted as an ordinance at second reading at a public hearing before the committee.
Thank you. And does that basically mean that's a yellow brick road for these guys to kind of like, as long as you tell them it's in the redevelopment plan and they say, well, we're conforming with the redevelopment plan, is that like basically a done deal then?
It means that the township planner prepared a redevelopment plan that was based on, that it was based on townships, on sound zoning and land use principles for the township, including, conformance with the existing master plan, which is the provision of affordable housing, the repurposing.
What master plan?
The township has a master plan. All municipalities in New Jersey do.
And I can assure you, that's what we do, is we make sure that that anyone that sits before us conforms with the regulations, and we also make sure that it's what's in the best interest of the town and for the people of the town. We don't ignore that and the impact to neighbors such as yourself.
Yes, when a redevelopment plan is prepared, and if you look at the document, you'll see there's a number of sections in there. They go through, how this conforms to township goals, how it conforms to the state's goals, how it meets affordable housing goals. And I'm not gonna. It is taken in the big picture and the smaller picture, where it looks at the existing zoning. And, essentially one of the things here is that this is an old office property for which there's not really a market for. And it is, it's a detriment as declaring it an area in need of redevelopment is stating that this vacant property, which is sitting there lying fallow and, at risk of potentially becoming even worse, was a detriment to the public good for the township.
Okay. So my next question is have the traffic patterns been analyzed and reported upon?
Traffic stuff.
Yeah.
There's a traffic engineer here who will testify.
Okay, because I live right there and traffic's pretty bad already.
I live right there too, so,
Thank you.
yeah.
Okay. Are all of these questions that are being asked, are they recorded and properly answered in writing? Because just telling me that we'll look into it, I'm not confident that I'll get.
The whole meeting is video recorded.
That doesn't answer my question.
What's your question?
The question is, how are these questions answered?
Well, first you asked
Every
me that if it was being video recorded, and I told you, yeah.
I said, are these questions being, not video recorded, are they being taken down and are
The
we
whole
able-
meeting is being recorded by video. That's how they're being taken down.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, please.
So when we go through and we talk about an issue, and we say, okay, we're gonna give, for example, the board planner asks for more detail on the lighting plans for that. So what will happen, assuming the board approves it, there'll be a written resolution, the board attorney, they'll have all these conditions written in there. So before we can move and get building permits, we will have to submit revised plans to show that all those conditions have been incorporated into the plans. If we need to update a report, like a traffic report or any other ancillary reports, those will be updated. All those revised plans and reports will be reviewed by the board professionals to make sure we comply before they will release the plans to the building department for us to get permits. So at the end of the day, there will be this paper trail you're looking for.
I would also add that there is a standard condition in the township's board resolutions that says that the applicant agrees to everything that they stated on the record.
Correct.
And I will tell you that we have gone back and listened to transcripts. We have gone back and looked at, minutes to make sure that people are complying with things that they said on the record. And that's where the township staff and professionals come in.
Okay, this may be my last question. Have there been any studies done about the number of ambulances per unit that come in typically into this kind of development? And will we be provided with those statistics?
I'm not aware if there's been any study in that regard.
I hope you understand why that's a reasonable question.
No, we do understand.
I hope that'll be addressed. Thank you.
Yes. I'm sorry, what was
Sorry,
the
your
address?
last name one more time.
Oh. Yes.
So I'm also concerned about the water quality issue, and you're saying that the stormwater runoff and distribution situation is better based on the impervious surface being reduced.
Yes.
But I also wanted to ask if you also consider the additional impacts in terms of the, use of the facility. So, before it was people there day to day. Now there's gonna be more cars kind of 24/7. Who knows about lawn care and other things, but wanted to understand if. Sorry, you have to pick up microphone. Oh, people back there don't hear you. Okay, so wanted to understand.
You can take that, you can pick it up.
So just wanted to understand if you're also, taking into account what is actually happening, not just what's being taken away as we look at the wastewater, or stormwater runoff. Also, in terms of the wastewater treatment plant, if it fails, who's responsible for paying the costs of any contamination that occurs? And is it even technically possible to upgrade the existing system built 50 years ago to much lower standards for, again, this daily office-based use into a system that is adequate to process the wastewater for however many people are going to live on this property? And then my third question was, you mentioned
Can we, are you able to, you want to answer one by one, or are you okay with this?
I'd pepper you with them all.
Why don't you finish, and then we'll address them. If we miss any, remind us.
Oh, I will. Just better understand what it was, you mentioned you would like relief from something. Was it linked to the new tree ordinance?
It was the height of the light poles on the.
No, you asked for relief for it was a survey of the existing trees that weren't being removed, so he didn't have to survey. It's just a record-keeping thing.
And it was not formal relief from the ordinance. It was a request by the township, by the planning board
Yeah,
engineer.
and he's not, he's saying he doesn't want to document every tree that's not being removed. Right, am I correct?
Yes, that's
Right,
correct. So
that's
we
correct.
will document any tree we're removing, but if we're not going to touch a tree, we're not going to create an inventory of those trees. Your stormwater questions kind of address as a whole. Again, we're complying with all the regulations for what we're proposing, and your question, really the specific one that I understood that you had was, what if it doesn't? So if it turns out what we're proposing doesn't meet the regulations, we're going to have to come back and redesign it to make sure it meets the regulations. So it wouldn't be a cost on the town, it wouldn't be anything that just, it would be reviewed when it was built, and if it turns out we're not meeting the regulations, we'll have to fix it and meet the regulations. Just like if we build a house, we come in here, we say, look, the height of the house, I don't know what the standard is in town, but assume it can't be higher than 30 feet. We say to the board, we're not gonna build my single-family home higher than 30 feet. And we build it, and it's 31 feet, we gotta fix it. We gotta lower the roof by a foot to make it work. Same thing here. If we don't meet the regulations, we'll have to fix it to make sure it
Yeah.
meets the regulations.
You guys also take on all costs for any cleanup responsibility?
Sure, anything that's their, look, anything that's their fault, that they're, is unless it's some force majeure, latent, it's still, even if it's on their property, it's gonna be their responsibility to fix.
Yeah, and
Anything they cause or create, it's gonna be theirs.
anything we undertake on this property is on us. It doesn't get dumped onto the town in any fashion. Our project, we build it, we take care of it, we pay for it. Correct.
All right, anyone else? Right now we're at questions. Yes, sir.
Stephen Ruda. I live on 7 Cherry Hill Road, and I have two questions. One I wanted to ask out of my own curiosity, and one from my mom. Now, I'm very new to all of this. Are you WJH or CHA?
I'm with WJH, the engineering firm responsible for the preparation of all the documents and review and receiving.
Okay. So I looked on your website, and this is mostly in regards to the water quality. I have a comment. I'll say for the comment. My question is: have you ever developed plans for a medical facility of this specific type and magnitude, as far as water treatment, sewage treatment, and storm drainage, especially in such proximity to the waterways and the water systems that we have in Toledo?
I think you're miscategorizing the development. It's not a medical facility as much as it's a senior living community. The whole, we're talking about condominiums where senior over 55, people over 55 like myself would live. There's townhomes, another alternative, another way to live, if you wanted to buy or purchase a townhome. And then there's a 40-unit apartment building, which is another alternative. So right within the ring road itself, there's 3 different opportunities for residents that are older than 55, again, like some of us here, can live. And I used to live in a big house on an acre lot in Homedale, and once my kids were gone, it's like, gee, where do I go? And so at the time, I didn't have an opportunity like that. This provides opportunities for the type of living. It's not a medical facility. Now, we have a building at the north end of the site, which is for assisted living. Again, that's helping the elderly, helping those who can't take care of themselves. Again, not necessarily a medical facility by description. And then and the rest of the facility, nursing care and whatever, is closer to that. But all in all, this is not a medical facility. It's a senior living community.
Okay.
And I'm sorry if I get upset about it, but it's just I think it's a cool project.
I'm so new to all of this. I'm going to make mistakes.
No problem.
So all of these units will be age restricted?
Yes.
And how many in total? Once all at 5 phases?
4 phases. So when all 4 phases are constructed, there'll be 209 units plus the 90 assisted living in that building on the north corner
You
of the
said
property.
90?
90,
Okay,
yes.
so 299 for everything?
Yeah, all
Okay.
in 299,
Okay.
correct.
And my next question is, was there mention of New Jersey American Water or something, the company with the star on it? That's going to be in charge of the water?
So yeah, there's existing water to the site from them, and that's sufficient to take care of the proposal as we presented it. Yeah, they
Okay.
just supply it, just like they do to your home.
This year, it's more of a comment. During Hurricane Sandy, the water was never brown in Homedale, even during Hurricane Sandy. This year, it's been brown twice for whole days. We have no idea why. And this is this company, New Jersey American Water. We've received no comment from them.
Well, sir, I'm just trying to keep this thing moving. If it's a comment, we'll address that later.
Yeah.
But if it's a question, please ask.
Okay. And my last question is, you said you would be upgrading, or your assessment indicated that you would need to upgrade the sewage and water plant that's on location already. In the event that assessment is an underestimate, what kind of recourse is there in the future to fixing something like that?
So, as we indicated, we're going to come in for each phase, right? So tonight we're just talking about phase 1, which is the existing building. So as we build phase 1, phase 2, we'll come back. Before we build phase 2, we'll come back the same level of detail we're talking about tonight. We'll review the board engineer, the board professionals review. We'll analyze the capacity of the system, and then phase 2 will be permitted to move forward, and phase 3 and phase 4. So at any time, should it be determined that there's no longer capacity in the on-site wastewater treatment plant, we wouldn't be able to build all those units. So perhaps we have to remove, just for sake of argument, 20 units from the last phase because there's no longer capacity in the water treatment plant, wastewater treatment plant. That's how it will be kept in check as we move along.
Okay, so in the end, this situation could be that not all phases of this plan were able to be constructed
Or,
after,
for example,
you
the
know.
last phase, we have to remove
Yeah.
some units or something to make sure there's capacity in the wastewater treatment plant. Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
All right, thank you so much. No
You're
further
welcome.
questions.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
questions.
Anyone else has a question for this witness? Okay,
Just one thing.
Go ahead, Wes.
There's a helicopter pad on the site that's maintained.
We were asked to keep that in
Yes.
case it's needed for emergency purposes or that nature.
yeah, okay. All right, anyone else? No. Thank you, sir. We may call you back if there's more questions. No, until at the end, he said. We got other witnesses. Yeah, all right, so who do you want to call next?
We anticipate calling our architect next.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Michaels.
Do you- Yeah. Yeah. You want to say something? Want me to say it?
So Carl,
Yes, sir.
so I think maybe you had asked earlier, the board does tend to want to stop around 10 o'clock, so just to plan the rest of your testimony, I'm guessing we're not going to finish if that's the case.
I think we'll have no problem getting the architectural testimony in because, no offense to our architect, it's a lot of the exterior and the vision and going quickly through a generalized floor plan and unit layout. So we anticipate having that within a half hour, no problem. But thank you for the reminder. We'll keep that in mind as we move along. If we could ask, have Mr. Michael.
Well, he has to be sworn, right? So.
Swear affirm the testimony you're about to give in this application is the truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Do we need his qualification?
Spell your name for the record.
Arthur
Qualification.
Michaels, Michaels.
I'm going to try this out.
It's Arthur Michaels, Michaels.
Yeah.
You got a qualifier?
Yeah.
Carl?
Mr. Michaels, if we give the board the benefit of your education and licensure.
Sure, I'm a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey, have been since 1982. I'm also a licensed professional planner and since 1985. And I'm licensed professional planner since 1987. I have a Bachelor of Architecture from Kent State School of Architecture and Environmental Design. I'm the principal of Michaels and Waldron Associates Architects and Planners. I've testified through numerous boards over the last 30 plus years throughout the state of New Jersey of this size, and all my licenses are currently current.
Okay. Thank you. You can proceed.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Michaels, I'm just going to turn it over you to go through your plans, and I know you have
Sure.
prepared a
Go to
few
A101.
exhibits. So the first plans,
These have been submitted as part of
yes,
The ones that, the full set.
yes. So
So
the
we
art.
need to mark them if you've already submitted them.
Yes, I'll clarify that for you right now. So the first set of plans we are going through have already been submitted to the board as part of our application package. And I'll have Mr. Michaels describe the plan date and revision date. And then there will be new exhibits. We'll make sure we mark those and pick up where we left off with the exhibit numbering when we get to that point. So, Mr. Michaels, if you just explain
Sure,
the
sure.
plans.
The plan I have currently up is sheet A101 of the architectural set that was previously submitted, dated 9/15. It shows the overall building, and as it's been described already by the engineer, I'm going to talk about the adaptive reuse of an existing 350,000 square foot two-story office building per the requirements of the redevelopment plan. The primary use in the building is 104 senior for sale residential units, which include 21 affordable units that are required by the New Jersey COA. They're also included within the building are permitted accessory uses, as well as a senior citizen multipurpose flex room for Homedale, and as well as an interior courtyard that's exterior space. I'd like to point out the courtyard that has been described before
has been increased in size with additional light wells to create more light and air in for the units, for the size of the open corridors or open courtyard space, and as well as increasing some view corridors. Now, within the building, of that 104 units, there are 21 affordable units that we had talked about that are one-bedroom units. There are 6 one-bedroom market rate units, 63 two-bedroom market rate units, and 14 three-bedroom market rate units. The engineer in his report has requested that we add a sheet that shows typical floor plans. That is available and will be added to the set. There was also a question regarding the units, in particular from the EMS in their letter about the door sizes, and the interior door sizes are all 3-foot doors for the bedrooms. All entrance to the units, they're typical full-size doors. And the question was also how close are the apartments, the most remote apartment, to a fire stair or to an exit, and that we are going to be conforming to the New Jersey code on that for travel distance. It's all fully compliant to the codes for egress and for travel distances, and as such. Some of the accessory spaces that are provided in the building here that's shown on the plan, and they're indicated by different colors and notations on the plan, are lobbies and lounge areas, which include gathering spaces and multi-purpose rooms, bicycle storage, mail package rooms, trash rooms. There's tenant storages, there's an outdoor pool, there's outdoor patio and grill areas, fitness rooms, exercise rooms. As previously testified, there's a covered parking area, which I'll talk about a little bit more. And as we said before, we will limit the EV from being permitted to be parked in that garage, although we do ask if the technology evolves such the fire department becomes comfortable with it, that at that point petition can be made to the fire department to allow that to occur. Also in describing the plan, you'll see in the corners of the building where the larger square areas meet, there are essentially 4 core areas. Each core area contains 2 fire stairs. They include elevators for vertical circulation. The EMS requested that the elevators be made stretcher compliant. What our intention is to have one of the elevators make it stretcher compliant, but all the cores are connected by a fully looped corridor, so every core and every elevator is accessible to every unit within the building. Then there's mailrooms and mailrooms and package rooms in those cores as well. Also within the cores is a trash room. Just a little description on how the trash works. For the second floor, there's a trash chute. There'll be 2 chutes, one for recyclables, one for garbage. They'll go down into a trash room on the first floor. On the first floor, there'll be a room for residents to go in. That will be a door that goes into essentially the bottom of the chute. On the other side of that room, on the first floor, there is a larger room where the garbage will then be collected. Building staff will, on a regular basis, come pick that up. They will transport it to the central compacting area that Mark talked about a little bit more on the site, which will get picked up by the carter 2 or 3 times a week. Let's see.
Art, if you don't mind me interrupting you, there's one comment from the fire chief. The height of the exterior overhangs, are they tall enough for ambulances to fit under?
Yeah, I was just about to get to that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes,
I know Board Member Palusis
all the
wanted to
canopies
address
are going to
this.
be 12. The canopy's going to be 12 feet high, so that'll be more,
Yeah,
typically.
he said there's gonna be one for bank, stretcher ready.
No
stretcher
problem
ready.
at all.
Thank you.
I was going to expand that two of the ground floor cores had some special things happening. The south side one, down in the lower left-hand corner, at the exterior circle is the main, it'd be a main entrance lobby. It has a grand stair going up to the second floor. That one has an exterior canopy that is 12-foot clearance that accommodates the emergency response vehicles and the comments in that letter. And then the diagonal corner, the one in the upper right-hand corner, that core area has a move-in lobby, so move-ins can be made back into that area, and that move-in lobby also provides room for bicycle storage for residents to be in there. And so I've talked pretty much about the different amenities that going around in the plan. I would like to scroll down a little. In the lower right-hand corner, that little pink area there is the township senior citizen multi-purpose room, 7,000 square feet in area, that's going to be leased to the town at no cost. And the space is to be used and act as an activity and educational center for the benefit of the township. And then we talked a little bit before about the parking area immediately above it. A question was asked of the last witness about some of the fire protection features in that parking garage. To bring to the attention of the board, that parking garage is being designed as an open parking structure. On the two sides, there are actually no exterior walls in there, so there's free movement of air between the spaces, so there won't be a buildup of carbon monoxide. My belief is that carbon monoxide detectors are not required in open parking structures in the state of New Jersey. The garage, I'd also like to bring out to your attention, is fully sprinklered. And as a further safety measure, this building, because of the size of it and what the existing conditions are, it's of what they call 1B construction, so it's a very high fire rating, and there's a 2-hour fire separation between the garage area and the units above. There will be carbon monoxide detection up in the units above, and it's the same with any spaces that have gas fire furnaces. Then going to the exterior courtyard, like I had mentioned before, there have been some wells that have been cut out of it to increase right and air into it, to the units. They also increase view corridors, okay? It ends up being approximately a 60,000 square foot courtyard. It'll have decorative landscaping, and then there'll be a mixture of passive and active recreation spaces. The passive recreation spaces include seating areas, grill areas, fire pits, water features, little walking paths, and so on around. The more active recreation uses is there's a pool in the center. That pool will be fully fenced in, and will have self-closing gates on it, which was a question in the engineer's report. So I wanted to make sure I responded to that. And then the more active uses, besides the pool, there will be a bocce court that we anticipate putting in the courtyard as well. Now I'd like to go to a little description of what we're doing with the exterior facade, and for that, pull up EX1. We prepared a piece of information that you've seen pieces of it before, but maybe not together. So
I apologize for interrupting. So before we continue, this, even though the bottom corner is EX1, we left off at Exhibit 7. This will be Exhibit A8 with tonight's date. Thank you. Please continue, Mr. Beck.
So the picture down below is a picture that we took of the existing building recently, from the same vantage point as where the rendering is taken from. The picture above is a rendering that my office prepared. It is included in the R1 sheet in the package that was previously submitted. And I show this to show the contrast and the improvements that we've made as part of the facade restoration of the building. So what we've done is we've done a complete renovation of the exterior facade, and we've done it in strict accordance with the building layout, mass, and architectural standards referenced in the RDP. And we've designed the facade with, well, first I'll point a couple things about the old facade. One, that center tower was 51 feet tall in the corners. The main roof is approximately 28 feet above the ground. The exterior materials are white brick, gray tinted ribbon windows, and it's very monolithic and monotonous looking building with very strong horizontals. What we've done is we've lowered that tower in the center to only 44 feet 2 inches approximately. The main roof elevation, because it's a rehabilitation, is remaining and it's going to stay there. We've used the tools that were identified in the redevelopment plan to go and enhance it by breaking it up with regular intervals to create visual interest. And we've done that through materials. The materials that we're using are cementitious panels. You might have heard them as hardy panels before, or a similar manufacturer, but cementitious panels. There'll also be stone panels. There's some metal roofing in there, and there's asphalt roofing in there as well. And all those features help break it up. The pitch roofs that we added create architectural interest by varying the roof lines, just as it's suggested in the RDP. Additionally, we've added balconies with canopies on it. Those balconies added enhanced living space for the units that it's associated with, but they also go to break up the facade and create interest. And also, we've altered some of the colors and the materials that we described and the type of textures of the materials to add visual interest to it. And I think that is pretty much my testimony. Those were available if they wanted them. That was the response to the engineers. They'll be included in the package.
So, Craig, we do have a floor plan with units. Do you want to see that?
I just submitted with the next submittal.
Thank you.
So, just one question for you, Mr. Rice. When you refer to RDP, you mean the redevelopment
The
plan?
redevelopment plan,
Okay.
sorry,
That's shorthand for
carried away.
redevelopment plan, so just want to make sure any reference to RDP means redevelopment plan. That's our testimony for Mr. Michaels. He's available for questions for the board and the public.
Craig, Kate, you guys, anything first you want to ask?
No additional questions from me. We asked for the layout that I indicated. They said that they prepared and they could submit it with the next submittal package.
Okay. Kate?
Nothing in particular. I think the testimony was comprehensive. They provided, again, architectural details for this building in phase 1, and they will have to provide similarly for all future phases. So this is just for phase 1, just to clarify again.
Anyone on the board have any questions for the architect? Wait.
The parking garage, I understand no carbon monoxide. Will there be fire detectors of any type in there?
Yeah, there's actually the smoke detectors on fusible links. So when the fire builds up, it's a dry sprinkler system. It's pressurized, the pipes. When the fusible link breaks, normally in a wet sprinkler system, there's water right behind it, it goes out. In our case, there's pressurized air behind it. The fusible link goes, it releases the water, and it immediately goes and discharges water on wherever the fire is on that particular head. If heat expands, then more heads would go off.
Familiar with the sprinkler system.
Okay.
There'll be no fire detection itself, correct? Smoke detectors?
I think, I
Nor
don't
heat.
think they're required by code. If they're required by code, we'll put them in. I believe the sprinkler system takes care of that because you have flow detection on the sprinklers.
I understand. The township meeting hall, this may not be for you, but how do you anticipate that being used and controlled? And what do you expect the activities that would occur there?
What I've seen in the redevelopment plan is what I testified to is that it was for the purpose of, I think it was educational and, let me pull up the words that I cited again before. What did I cut? in the redevelopment plan, it says the space was to act for activity and educational center for the benefit of Homedale. Since Homedale would be administering it, I'm not sure that I'm the appropriate person to respond to that.
So, you mentioned Homedale would be administering it, but there's a homeowners association of some type. So if somebody wants to have a meeting there, who are they calling?
I think my belief, it's just the town. This is the town, the homeowners have their own facilities. We got rooms for them, we got multi-purposes rooms, we have all that programmed in for the homeowners. This space is for the town. It could be in this building, it could be in this building here where we're sitting right now. It's under that, as far as I'm concerned, it's under that same control, and they have sole rights to it.
Are there restrooms associated with this?
Yes, there'll be restrooms, according to the code requirements for the quantity.
I don't see them, but it's my thing.
I think they'll be on the construction plans that we file for a building permit.
Okay.
You know what, Don, no? Joyce, you had you want something about the rooms or the?
Oh, I realize we're only participating in phase one, but looking at the architectural plans and phase two and et cetera, I'm sorry. Are the townhouses going to have continuity as far as design in phase two?
That would be the intent. I don't think that they're going to be
Because
a
we don't know
mirror
if
of
they're
what
gonna-
it's here,
Okay.
but I think it's a single development. I think the intent of the ownership, from what all of my discussions, are it's going to be a harmonious design. It's going to be an entity. It's going to be there's townhouses, there's this building, other buildings. They're all going to work together. They're going to work within each other. We're going to share certain things, and that I would expect that the ultimate design will be, harmonious with it. That would be the way I would best describe it at this
Because
moment.
basically, looking at the plan, it looks like little soldiers all lined up, little boxes. We don't know how many bedrooms. We don't know how many.
Yeah.
We don't know
Yeah.
what it will consist of as
don't
far as
think that
phase two
that's
progresses.
fully developed yet. I think what we tried to do when we tried to design this building, knowing what there are going to be townhouses there, we tried to design a building that we thought that would work within that, that it would really change the image there, but by having the roofs and having those roof lines and shingles
The
break up the
elevation.
things, it would really work well with a townhouse development adjacent to it. So it looks like a real harmonious project.
And as indicated before, when we come back for the different phases, it will include the architecture as well, so we can show that it'll be
Yes, I
complementary.
will wanna.
Right.
I'm here for a while, so. I will wanna
But yeah,
see.
again, those haven't been fully developed and designed yet, but they will, as Mr. Michaels indicated, they'll be complementary. It'll be a cohesive development. And
Will it be the
again,
same architect?
As far as I know, yes.
Not my call. I would welcome a little help.
Job security.
But it's not my call, but we would certainly
Again,
deal with that when we get
I
there.
may have misspoke. I'm not sure if it will be, but again, the intent, and the board will review the architectural plans in each phase to make sure they are harmonious and complementary, and it's not, radically different from development to development. Because the intent is this is going to be a cohesive development. That's what the redevelopment plan envisions, and that's what we've presented and intend to develop.
I would say that if for some reason I am not the architect, that generally in projects like this, if there are different architectural teams working in the project, we would be working with them on it and cross-communicating and sharing details and ideas and so on. We're not that hung up about it. We like to be good team players, and that's what our client expects, and that's what we expect of ourselves.
Okay, all good? All right, so I guess, questions, right? So if you have any questions relating to the architectural work, you can come up. Yes, ma'am.
Roberta Kaufman. My mother grew up in Strawberry Mansion. The house looked onto an air shaft. My husband grew up in Brownsville. The apartment looked on an air shaft. If you could put back the original architectural floor plan you had there.
Sure.
Come down. Okay, so here we have our low-income apartments. They're smaller than everybody else's, and there they are looking into an air shaft. Why?
That's how we laid out the building. You know, once again, I'd just like to point out to you that air shaft, I wouldn't really qualify it quite as an air shaft. It's, you know, the roof there. You know, if you go to the second plan, okay, the floor above, the next one, A102, you'll notice that it's cut out as well there. You know, so really, that air shaft that you're talking about is only 14 feet high wall. It's a very low wall. And, you know, the intention of cutting it out there as well was once again to bring more light and air down into those units as well.
Right, but they're the only units suffering with a isolated one looks into the other apartment.
No, I think, you know, all around the corner, as you go in the middle, you know, there's, you know, maybe it's not quite as deep, you know, but there's, you know, there are apartments that have a similar condition.
Okay, so you're saying there's no way of leaving that. What proportion, I understand there's 21 units and it's 20%, but in terms of square footage, those are really small units. Is there any guidelines that require that 20% will also be 20% square footage?
No, you know, on the for sale it's not. As a matter of fact, the requirement for the minimum size of these units, for the one-bedroom units, is 600 square feet. Ours is 781. You know, so we've already, was that 20% or something like that, 20, 25%? You know, we made it substantially bigger already than required. It's only required to be 600 and the 781.
Thank you on that. Last question. This was, as we all knew it, was supposed to be a continuing care. When CHA was the proposal, we all understood that this was going to be a continuing care with assisted living. There would be approximately 250 units in this building. That going aside, why has this changed from a continuing care to nothing more than a 55-plus housing development?
No, I think it is a continuing care, right? So it's a staggered.
There's continuing care. It's a progression.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different product types in this project. You know, the project isn't just phase one. The project is all 4 phases. So you have a townhouse. You can have a townhouse, and then if you want to go, or if you prefer to live in a larger building with large flats on one floor because you want to live in a ranch-type facility because of whatever reason, you can do that, and then you can go and progress to the continuing air without leaving the site, if you like.
Right, so if continuing, this is not financially a continuing care thing where if one partner in a household needs nursing home care, there's only, 30 beds for that, and the other can stay in their unit. They're in the original phase one, in phase one as you're showing it, and phase two, and God knows when we'll get to phase three, there are no medical facilities I see, there's no nurses' offices, there's no medical component whatsoever.
That would be in the assisted living building. That would be in that, not in
And
this.
when is the assisted living, in terms of your planning, when would you be breaking ground after?
I believe that's,
How many years after?
I think it's phase 4, isn't it?
it's
Three.
phase
Three.
3. Phase
Yeah,
3, I don't think as an architect, I'm the one qualified to say when that might be. You know, that would be, I think that's gonna be somewhat a market-driven issue.
Well, architecturally though, I worked in the building in '83. 50 years from now, this kind of architecture may look as dated as the building as it exists now may look to us. Do you think this kind of architecture that you're proposing has more
I think this has a very long, longevity. I mean, we've broken it up. We got slope roof. We've broken up planes. We've moved things around. We varied color. It certainly is very in tune with today's marketplace. But I think that it's also, a style that's going to last a long time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else have a question of for the architect? No? So what do we do now, I guess? Because it's almost 10 o'clock. No, because we have other people that have to
So
testify.
comments will come at the very end, and for any member of the public that wants to make a comment, they will be sworn in to make a comment. It'll be an official,
Right now?
part of the record.
Right now?
No, that'll be at the end of the entire application.
Yeah. Which we're gonna push now, right?
Sounds like you're gonna
Yeah, right?
carry this to a new meeting.
Yeah, unfortunately. We got two other, so here's the thing, on the 16th, we have two other applications to be heard. No, wait,
We have December 2nd and December 16th available.
oh, December, I'm sorry, yes.
Would the board consider another special meeting?
Look, we don't have anything scheduled for those dates, so I don't care if it's a different day for a special meeting. I'm gonna do it sooner. Yeah, no, I saw that. I'm just saying, if they don't wanna wait till the 2nd or 16th, I have no problem, right, doing it sooner for them on a special meeting? I mean,
Just need to pick a specific day so there's no more notice, and we just have to make sure it doesn't conflict with anything else, so.
yeah, 'cause the 21st, there's two things being heard, so that's gonna be probably a long day.
Probably.
So-
Is there a possibility to carry this to October 21st, and then we will find the date? I guess this is a question for Marty.
You could do that. So apparently October 21 has two other hearings, so we probably wouldn't get to you, but we could carry it there so we don't need more notice. For the purpose of carrying to a new date, once Irina can figure out what that special meeting date could be. Does that work?
Okay.
That would be acceptable. Thank you very much for the
But I would,
accommodation.
I would suggest to Irina that we keep open at least December 2nd. God forbid we can't get another date, so you're not pushed back into the next year.
That would be
Right.
appreciated.
Mhm.
Thank
Hold
you.
that, not as official date.
Okay.
So does
Right.
that work for everybody?
Yeah.
So we're gonna carry this to October 21 at the same time without further notice, but for the purpose to carry to another official date at that hearing, which is probably gonna be a special meeting date.
That's correct, and I'm
It'll be
gonna look
on,
into that. Mhm.
Irina's agenda.
Yes.
I looked on the website.
That'll be my homework.
Right, and we'll certainly coordinate with Irina between now and then to get the board and our
I'm
availability.
just letting the public know, there'll be no more official notice in the mail. Right?
So just to confirm for the public, that the special meeting date, if the next date for anything, whether it's special or a regular meeting, will be announced at that meeting on October 21st, which is live streamed.
Right.
And as soon as it's decided, it will also be posted on the planning board website.
Right,
Absolutely.
so for
Yeah.
those people
So,
here that wanna
yes,
give a
that's for
comment,
yes.
they don't have to be here the 21st,
You
right?
don't have to come here the 21st.
We can confirm there'll be no further testimony on the 21st.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just want to make
Just
that
for-
clear.
So I just need a motion and second to carry till October 21st without further notice.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Fagan,
Yes?
Mr. Mon,
Yes.
Mr. Emma,
Yes.
Ms. Plausas, Mr. Silverman.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The application will
Okay.
be carried to October 21st, 2025 without further notice. And after we'll find the alternative day for the special meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and there's no professional report, so anyone make a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you. Have a good night.